have zero desire to grow followers or do any of that sort of stuff. I kind of like, not a hidden life, but like, it's low key. I mean, social media is just the toxic, even though I do ads on there, I just think it's the most toxic fucking thing in the world.
I asked him a simple question: are you happy? And instead of giving the automatic answer, he paused. Then he said something a lot of people wouldn't say out loud. Sitting back with me today is Dylan Carpenter.
I lost myself in the last relationship, 100%. And I feel like I'm back to kind of my goofy, spunky self. There are some things where I'm like, ooh, when I say that out loud, I kind of feel like a monster. What's your heaviest hitting one on there?
If your life was a movie, what would the audience be screaming at you to do differently right now?
Oh, shit.
Immediate regret. If you're listening on audio, you're so uncomfortable right now.
Did not see that one coming.
I'm sorry.
Chat, clip that.
Sometimes when I don't do morning interviews very often because that comes out and I'm just like, what did I just say? Howdy, y'all, and welcome to another episode of David's Saturday Night Sit Back. I'm David, and almost 3 years ago, I started this podcast having no idea what it was going to become. After the first 12 episodes came out, I was approached by a 17-year-old in the gym who told me that a year earlier, he was so miserable, he tried to take his own life. Today, he's alive, he's thriving, and he's joining the military, and in that moment, I knew exactly what this podcast was going to become. I'm on a mission to find hidden gems in Austin, Texas, and give them a platform with one mandate: to tell personal stories that light the internal fire within the audience as they navigate the dark night of their journey. My endgame for this podcast is that one day I have thousands of emails from people all over the world telling me how these stories gave them the courage to take their dreams, turn them into goals, and chase those goals until they become reality. That said, if today's episode impacts you, email me your story to sitbackWithDavid@gmail.com. With that being said, let me introduce you to today's returning guest. Imagine growing up in an environment where you learn early that life doesn't always come with a clear playbook, where some days feel stable and other days feel a little chaotic. So you start paying attention. You learn how to read people. You learn how to read rooms. You figure out how to adapt. Over time, those survival skills turn into strengths. You become someone who can walk into a room and feel the energy in it. Someone who can sell. Someone who can compete. Someone who keeps moving forward even when life throws a few curveballs. From the outside, that kind of person looks confident, driven, ambitious, hard to shake. But the interesting part of a story like that isn't just the success. It's the self-awareness that develops along the way. When Dylan Carpenter first sat in this chair, there is a moment that stuck with me. I asked him a simple question: are you happy? And instead of giving the automatic answer, he paused. Then he said something a lot of people wouldn't say out loud: I don't think so. Not dramatically, not hopelessly, just honestly. And Dylan, what I've always respected about you is the willingness to be honest about where you are while you're still building where you're going. Because a lot of people can chase success, but it takes a different kind of person to keep asking themselves the harder questions along the way. Who am I becoming? What actually matters? And what does a meaningful life really look like? Since that first conversation, Dylan has kept building, still competing, still chasing goals, still the goalie, the last line of defense when the pressure is on. But what I respect most about Dylan isn't the hustle, it's the willingness to keep asking those questions while the game is still being played. Sitting back with me today is Dylan Carpenter. Dylan, thank you for who you are, thank you for being here, and welcome to your second episode on David's Saturday Night Sit Back.
That was an intro. Hell yeah, man. You've upped it. It's good to be back, man. Yeah, it's funny. All I could think about when you said adapting, I'm like, I'm a chameleonaire. Or is that a chameleon? I'm thinking of the rapper that changes colors. But yeah, man, I'm pumped to be back. I see you out in the streets here and there, or the events and stuff, and I'm like, shit, hell yeah, he's still cranking these things away. So I mean, I didn't know your initial story or your initial podcasting journey started from that, origination. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's very different than any other podcast or podcast host I know, where it's like views and money. So it's definitely, you have a nice way of kind of going about it to where I think it's good for the people.
Well, it goes back to sort of what we talked about in our first episode, where I think the reason I've cranked out 160 episodes and been doing this 3 years is because the why is so strong. You know, if that kid hadn't approached me, I may have stopped and pursued something else that was made me more money or whatnot. But here we are. You know, I keep him in the forefront of my mind every time I record one of these.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you could have been a great dancer, dude. Great one.
I don't know about that. So I'm going to ask you potentially the hardest question first.
Yeah.
Are you happy?
Um,
In the 2 years since we've met, have you gotten closer to finding this?
yeah, I think it's probably been over the past year, I would say, of where things have like shifted, most likely. I'm definitely happier than I was, but I've also had a lot of big changes as well. Yeah, I mean, everybody has their off and on days, but as a whole, yeah, I'm a happy person. I love who I am. No one ever sees me like upset or grumpy or something. I'm kind of I'm gonna go in the office and work or do something to kind of get my mind off things. So yeah, I would say I'm happier.
You're happier.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
good.
yeah,
You do seem happier. There is a sort of I'm big into energy. What I tell a lot of people, I've been approaching a lot more people just in the grocery store, at the gym, at Zilker Park, and inviting them on the show. And more so than looking for the perfect answer to what would you talk about if you came on a podcast, it's just an energy feel. You know, the vibes that I'm getting from this person in this interaction, do I want to sit down with them for 2 hours or do I not? And as soon as I opened the door this morning, you did just have like a fucking punch of just like good vibes about you. And I'm not saying you didn't the first time, but I almost sense that you seem like you're in a better place now than maybe you were in 2024.
yeah. I mean, considering outside, it seems like just dark clouds and shadows follow me, but that's just that's just in general, you know. Nothing too bad, but yeah, I always try and bring good vibes and happiness to wherever I go, unless I'm just not feeling social. So just depends how the battery is, and luckily it's fully charged. But
Fuck yeah.
yeah,
Even going to bed at 3:30, 2:30.
daylight savings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that threw me off a little bit. I'm glad I looked at your show notes last night, and I'm like, thank God he kind of pinpointed the daylight savings thing. I was like, fuck. But yeah, no, I'm amped for this. Because yeah, when we walked in, we were trying to figure out when was the last time we did chat. So I mean, time flies. It's funny, the older you get, the quicker it goes.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have at least another 20 years left on the planet, so that's good at least. So
Hopefully.
at least.
If AI might make bots out of everything and we'll be underground living in a matrix-like environment where we're looking for Neo and we've scorched the sun and you're not marketing anymore and I'm not podcasting and we're just looking for food and we're back to being hunter-gatherers again.
We're going to be like those little Futurama heads where they just feed them with like fish flakes and stuff and they're just floating around in those little test tubes and shit. Who knows? But yeah, I'm definitely going to be getting like cyborg legs and the Neuralink and all that shit, so fuck it.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Let me let you humbly brag about yourself for a second. Why do you think the audience should stick around for today's episode?
I'm very blunt and direct. I feel like I have some cool stories, and they can be funny. I'm pretty good on the fly with some witty shit. So you will be entertained, you will be motivated. You might end up hating me, but I think you'll appreciate like the sharings and kind of values I can kind of bring to the table, essentially. But yeah, no, it'll be case by case. We're probably gonna go down a lot of rabbit holes, like personally, businessy, relationshipy, family-y. But yeah, it'll be a lot of 90-degree angles and curveballs, most likely. So it won't be boring, I promise.
No, it won't be boring. I promise as well. Why'd you agree to come back?
I love supporting friends.
I'm your friend.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, I mentioned earlier, like, I haven't done a podcast. I had my little podcast phase. When you said 160 episodes, I was like, by that time, I was like, I don't want to fucking talk to anybody. I was just so burnt out on podcasts. So, I mean, I haven't done one since we talked just because, yeah, there hasn't been any that excite me or interest me. And like I mentioned, it's a lot of businessy shit out there, at least in my world, where it's like, I fucking hate it. Especially when it's like, tell me about ads. I'm like, don't.
You know, that's going to be I have 4 pages of notes, and tell me about ads is not on here. So if that makes you feel better about today.
Yeah. But no, it'll be good. I feel like we flow, naturally and nicely. So
I appreciate you. Yeah, I have a funny story for you. On Friday, I had like 2 hours of emails to write, and I stumbled upon a podcast that one of my friends had gone on, and I really like listening to him. He's just a smart, interesting guy. And so I thought, I'll listen to him get interviewed while I write these boring fucking emails. And I turned it on, and the show was about finding creators and interviewing them. And so I thought it's sort of niche, but also not, because like everyone's a fucking creator these days. But I ended up emailing the host. I found his email and I sent him a message. And I was like, hey man, I don't know if I could add value to your audience, but I've been doing this thing for 3 years. If you'd like to have me on as a guest, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. And he wrote me back and he said, no, you're too old.
Damn. If it makes you feel any better, like the creators we have for our like, the businesses we run ads for, you fit the demographic to a T. So I mean,
I'm just like, I'm only 38, and my friends make old jokes all the time. Like in the gym the other day, I saw one of my buddies doing something, and I was like, dude, I do this on my bicep days, and he was like, well, maybe that's how you do things back in 1978. And like, that was a funny joke, coming from him. I shook his hand. I was like, dude, good comeback, that was excellent, and I appreciate your sense of humor. But to be rejected from helping someone because of my age, I was like, fuck you, dude. Like, most podcasts don't make it past episode 20. I'm fucking crushing this thing, but nope, forget about that. Like, oh, you're at podcast is listened to, and it has grown a lot since I saw you, and I rarely ever say the numbers, but if you want to know, I'll tell you offline.
Yeah.
But this show has had very healthy growth, but apparently I'm too old, so
78. Holy shit! Yeah,
I wasn't even born in 78.
I was doing the math in my head. I'm like, my brother's 36. He was, but. No, that's gold. Yeah, I mean, my friend group is very. I'm still the youngest, ish. Yeah, some are 40.
But you and me, we share something in common where we hang out with people that are older than us more often than not.
Yeah.
Is that still true about you?
Yeah, it wasn't by choice; it just kind of happened. Yeah, no, it's. I just kind of fell into it, and it never really. I feel like I'm definitely mature for 31. So like it was never like childish, I would say. So it kind of was never weird or anything. If anything, they wanted the young energy, the young vibes, the young blood. But no.
Old people are creepy. That was a terrible thing to say.
They also fuck.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, little freaks.
So you don't post on social media a lot, but since you've been on, if memory serves me right, did you get a chance to like sub in for the Texas Stars for a couple games?
Yeah. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, I'm 5'10", I'm not Russian, so the odds of me going pro are pretty slim to none. But yeah, I remember it was a Friday night, and I was still in a relationship at the time, and like normally if somebody in my hockey league calls me, they want me to sub, or I'm like, it's Friday night, I'm 4 Aperol spritz deep, some pulled pork, baked potatoes.
Yeah.
Took an edible, I was vibing, and I'm like, I'm not gonna answer. And then my ex was like, you should answer, you never know. And I was like, all right. And he's like, hey, our goalie tore his groin, can you be here in 15 minutes? And I'm just like, I'm packing my bag now. And yeah, it was electric. It was a cool experience. The downside was like I had a game 2 nights before, so my stuff was sweaty and smelly and stinky, and I just had a beautiful aroma to me. Even some of the guys out there were like, "Dude, do you dry your gear out?" I'm like, "Yeah," but I mean, I also play like 3 times a week, and I don't have the cool shit y'all have to keep stuff dry. But it was a cool experience. It was a bucket list item. Yeah, and the funniest part of that was like they were like, "What we do?" They love when somebody comes in to do that because everybody knows like it's a cool moment for whoever's doing the e-bug thing. And whenever they were like, "What were you doing?" I'm like, "Man, I'm like 4 Aperol spritz deep. Had these baked potatoes. This edible starting to kick in." They were like, "Fuck, I hope you don't have to go in." And I'm like, "Me either." I mean, and I told them I'm like, if I were to go out there, it would either be just beautiful or just a beautiful nightmare. But it was the coolest experience ever. People are like, "Did you get paid for it?" I'm like, "No. I mean, I would have paid to do it, but they ended up giving me a bunch of free sticks and stuff. So it was a really cool experience. But they changed the rules now, and they have to have some guy on salary. So I mean, the odds of it happening again are pretty slim to none. But it was so cool to check off my list, and I have some pretty funny stories pertaining to that. We'll get to at some point.
Did you play
No,
that night?
no. So he injured himself in like the first period. So I got there towards the end of the first. The other goalie was already in there. But no. So I mean, they gave me a little locker booth and everything. Like for the end of the first period, I was sitting on the side, but then for the second and third, I was on the bench. Then it went to overtime, and it was cool. I was the other goalie's like water boy. I'm like, "You want power where or water?" He's like, "Neither.
That
Give me
was
give me towel." And I'm like, "All right, you got it, bud." So it was cool.
that was cool to see it. Yeah, I saw you in the green, and I was like, "Fuck yeah! Look at this guy.
Oh
he
yeah,
did it."
yeah, and I remember they had a professional photographer there, and I was like, "Sweet, like I was there." The downside is like was when AI started getting popular, and people were like, "You weren't really there, were you?" And I was like, "It was real." And then some girl took a photo of me that wasn't like the photographer, and I'm looking over, and I was like, "Fuck, are my eyes open?" I'm like, That's when the edible fucking hit. Like, it was pretty funny. But all in all, it was a cool experience. And my dad's, of course, like, my son's a professional hockey player and stuff. But yeah, it was a really cool bucket list item.
Are you don't I hope I don't offend you by asking this, but I just don't know this about you. Do you feel like you're just as good as the goalie, like they're permanent goalies?
Oh hell no,
No.
no. Yeah, no. I mean,
Do you play pretty regularly
yeah.
still?
So I'm in a Monday and Wednesday league, but I'm about to take a little break, just because my body is just on the struggle bus. But no, I mean, I think if I was like 6'3" or 6'4", I don't think I would have been that caliber, but I probably could have gone farther. I think I'm better now than I was in college. It's just being good is one thing, but being hockey smart and having like hockey IQ is a complete other thing to be able to like to read plays and stuff. Um, so it's just the more you play, the smarter you get to see how things kind of play out. So it's a little bit easier. But yeah, if I was like the level I was now playing in college, we might have actually been good. But back then I did a lot of hood rat shit, consumed a lot of things I most likely should not have consumed. And yeah, it was more of the college party. We were really good at partying, but hockey, eh.
Does height matter that much? Because in basketball, I it's obvious why height matters, but you've said this like two or three times now this morning, and
Yeah, it's just yeah, you take up more space. It's all like geometry too and angles and shit. So it's like you want to cut off the direction of where like the puck can go through to you. So if you're just a couple inches taller, you're just taking up more real estate essentially. Because like even though the guys who are really tall, they look small out there because you're kind of bunched up in a weird position.
mm-hmm.
So from a shoulder perspective, yeah, those extra inch or two makes a huge difference. Not to mention the legs. Some of them can go like butterfly, where they spread their legs out and just take up the whole bottom of the nets. Where me, I still have a lot of room. So like it does play a large role. I think there's only one goalie in the NHL who's under 6 foot. But he's just a freak of nature. So I think he's finished too. So maybe.
Since I since I had you on, I had on two hockey players from UT's team, and when I was getting ready for their episode, I forget if I was talking with ChatGPT or on Google or where I saw it, but somewhere I found that hockey player or specifically goalies are generally sort of weirdos. would you, would you do you consider yourself sort of the odd duck in the group?
Yeah, that's always been the case. Yeah, it's funny because even like the teams I've been on for like years, I'm still pretty awkward.
Awkward?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah. Oddly enough,
Am I just awkward too, and that's why we get along so well? I don't think you're awkward at all.
it's more of just being hard on yourself, I think, because you don't want to let other people down. And if you know something like, oh, I could have had that, you know they're thinking that too. So like you kind of get in your head a bit. And I might have brought this up in the past, but it's like it's probably the same for like soccer goalies or even like field goal kickers, to where it's like everybody either loves you or hates you. There's not really an in between. So you always want to do your best, but sometimes you just fuck up and stuff. But yeah, we're pretty weird. I mean, I always say I'm not weird, but yeah, I'm probably pretty odd. Pretty weird.
What are you in your head about these days?
Um, what's next? Like business wise, I would say. Um, am I doing too much now? Making up for lost time, I guess. And those are probably the two bigger ones.
Why laughing?
It's kind of funny. It's I love those pauses. I'm like, ooh, what's next?
You are the founder of owner of, I'm going to butcher this,
Oh, you're good.
Quality?
Yeah.
Quality Media for the last 8 years. Quality Media specializes in e-com businesses looking to scale up. With over $30 million in ad spend across Facebook, Instagram, Snap, and TikTok, we can formulate a strategy, get it implemented, optimized, and if results deem fit, we can scale on up. You've generated over $250 million in revenue in your career. On your website, you declare my favorite question, who am I? And you say a performance marketer. With 8 years of experience, I exclusively work with a handful of 7 to 9 figure e-com brands at a time, driving new customers. From my meta days to agency owner to white label agency partner, I finally found the perfect business model for my partners that fits my lifestyle and their business perfectly. As impressive as all of this sounds, when you and I met for the first time, we talked for 100 minutes, and this is some of the most least interesting things about you, in my opinion. If I was to ask you, if we go deeper than your LinkedIn and your website profile, who is Dylan Carpenter?
First of all, I need to update some shit.
Yeah, if any of that was wrong, it's not my fault.
No, I get these websites made, and I just don't give a shit to keep up with them. Like the Quality Media one, I haven't touched it in 6 years, and then I had another one made, and I haven't touched that in 4 years.
Sorry.
No, it's funny because I was like, shit. Yeah. Who am I now?
Yeah.
The performance marketer. No, I'm just kidding. No, I still am. I still am. No, I'm just a chill guy. Who also runs a lot of ads. It's funny because I think you mentioned like 30 million in ad spend. I'm probably spending maybe 100 to $120 million a year in ads right now, minimum. So like those numbers, it's kind of wild when you say it out loud because yeah, those numbers have escalated drastically. I have somebody who we spend $400,000 a day with.
How much?
400,000 a day.
400.
Yeah.
A day.
Yeah.
What industry or business are they in?
Telemedicine.
Okay.
So like, yeah, and I mean I had e-com and shit, but no, I found a weird little loophole niche that turns out I'm actually kind of good at, which is the telemedicine space. And like the reason it's weird is just because it's hard to do with all the guidelines and shit that Meta has. But I'm good at following rules and playing it safe, which sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. But it just makes sure businesses don't fail. But that's for who I am. I'm a traveler. I'm a foodie. I'm a crazy dog dad. I'm a good friend. And I'm reliable. Maybe not what you want to hear most of the time, but I'm pretty upfront and direct. So I mean, if people ask, hey, what are your thoughts about this? And I'm in a good headspace, I'll get down and dirty, and they're either gonna love it or hate it. I've had one friend who was like, "What do you think about this?" I'm like, "It's kind of fucked up. I don't think you should do this." And I've never had someone be like, "I don't think we should be friends anymore." And I was like, "All right, sorry," but yeah, no. I think that's the best way to put who I am. There were probably some others I can't think of right now, but yeah, no, that's kind of the more broader gist of things.
I think it by being blunt though, it attracts the kind of friends you want. Because around January, my next question for you, maybe I'll ask it, maybe I won't. I don't know yet. Give me 30 seconds to
Yeah.
decide. In January, I probably asked 50 to 70 people, what do you want to do more of this year? And what do you want to do less of this year? And one of my friends threw it back at me. And I said, one of the things I want to do less of is um, being nice at the expense of being real. And then he came back to me about 2 weeks later and asked me a question about a problem he was having with him and his girlfriend. And I thought, if I hadn't told him that, I wonder if he would have come to me with that question, because he knew I was going to give him an honest answer, not the, well, Dylan, you're in the right. You should definitely do you should do this. I gave him a few pieces. I caveated it with, first of all, it's funny you're coming to me with relationship questions because I am single as fuck. I'm the most single person in Austin, Texas. So there's that. Um, but I ultimately ended up telling him, you should. One of my core values that I try to live by is seek to understand before being understood. And he didn't understand where she was coming from as I was asking him questions about the situation. So I said, why don't you do some digging before you make the conclusion? Because you don't even know really where her perspective is coming from. And I felt like our friendship deepened as a result of that. So I think it's cool that you're blunt. You're going to drive the people away that can't deal with that. But those are probably low agency operators that you don't have time for or need in your life anyways.
Oh, big time. Yeah. No, time is everything. Time is money, but time is everything too. And I mean, I've been doing therapy for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years at this point. To where, yeah, if I need to bring this closer, just give me a heads up. But yeah, I know. I just like so much time gets away. So like even when I like plan my weeks out, I'm like, damn, I really only have 2 or 3 days to like really do fun things because I just have so many things set up. So it's just like if someone's gonna bring me down or just be a fucking Debbie Downer and buzzkill, I just would have I would rather them not be around at all. In my life at least. So yeah, it's funny because with that example you were just saying, not understanding his girlfriend's perception. That's a vague question, man. Communication. He might never find it out. Um, so
You just got me to cackle.
yeah.
What about you? I do you have, so my core values, one of them is like keep your word even when it hurts. Understand before seeking to be understood. Do you have any that you can, maybe you've never put them into words before, but on a subconscious level, as you've lived 30 plus years on this planet, is there anything that for you personally is a deal breaker where you're like, this is how I operate and I'm not gonna negotiate on this item?
Yeah, I would say the only two is like be respectful and treat people the way you want to be treated. I live by those. Some days are better than others, just depending on like the mood, I would say. But like, I would say those are the two staples. And I mean, I would love to live by giving 110% with everything, but that's hard to do, all the time and stuff. But I always do try and put my best foot forward.
Where do you think the treat others as you wanted to be treated when you came on the first time? Whenever I have a returning guest on, I don't want to rehash their episode. So if anyone's curious, we talked about your son, your dad,
Mhm.
your upbringing. You had a very interesting, I guess you could call it, growing up. The treat others as you wanted to be treated. Do you think that's the result of how you were raised, or where do you think that came from?
Um, yeah, it's probably from how I was raised. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I think I feel more happiness when I see other people happy, or more fulfillment that way. Like a lot of the things I do for myself, sweet, I don't get much fulfillment from, but if I'm doing something for somebody else and I can see it's like life changing or mood changing, that's that makes me a happier camper.
Yeah, Matthew. Do you know? Did you happen to read Matthew McConaughey's book, Red Light, Green Light, or whatever it was called?
I haven't read a book in years, to be honest.
Well, I read this like 200-page book, and the only thing that stuck with me was one sentence, which is the most selfish thing people can do is to be selfless. And it's true, at least for me. When I'm serving other people and I'm seeing other people be successful, or even like my buddy, the fact he came to me with a question about his relationship, and I was able to attempt to help him out a little bit. That made me feel like $1,000,000. I love helping people.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Until like the same question comes up like a dozen times and nothing ever changed. You're like, come on, dude, I've told you this like 7 times. Like, but sometimes people just need to hear the same thing over and over again. I mean, even in some of my scenarios, I was hearing the same shit over and over again, but I just, there are things you don't want to hear. So it's like hard to kind of grasp what's seen third person versus how you perceive it.
When did you start going to therapy?
I'd tell people like 5 years ago, but maybe like 3 or 4. I don't even know. It was a while ago, but yeah, no, it was good.
Are you still going?
Mhm.
What was there any one particular thing that landed you in the office of your therapist, or was it a
Yep.
mix of things?
No, it was one thing.
What was it?
Um, in my last relationship, it was great. Nothing bad to say there, but I just noticed there were some communication issues that had me turn into a therapist, and I'm a good listener, but as like with the kind of person I am, I love solutions. So like sometimes solutions aren't what's, being asked, but that's kind of hard for me to like not do. So that's where I was like, hey, you should talk to somebody who does this for a living. And that just happened for a very long time where it meant a lot to me if she were to find somebody to talk to professionally, and it just kind of kept leading on. And I was like, how hard is it to find a therapist? Come on. In the nicest way possible. And yeah, I ended up finding a guy, just testing the waters, and I was like, well, this is kind of cool, actually. Um, and then, yeah, I did it weekly, then bi weekly, and now I see him once a month. Yeah, no, it's been super helpful. Uh, it's helped me get more comfortable with things that I was never really that comfortable with. Plus, I just tell him to agree with everything I say, so I feel a lot better. No, it was hard finding somebody that kind of works with my style, I guess. Cause I'm not, I say I'm not a normal person, but I do feel like I have my quirks with like my lifestyle and just who I am as a person. So it was hard finding somebody who can work with somebody like me, because I'm sometimes not the easiest to work with, where it's kind of like pulling teeth. And I wanted something in person. I do so many calls for work online to where I'd be multitasking like crazy, where it just wouldn't be beneficial. So I needed something in person, just so they can yell at me eye to eye, kind of thing.
That's why I do the podcast this way.
Yeah, man. I think that's where I fucked up on my last one. It was like everything was virtual, and like this guy would be telling a crazy story, and I'm over here just like, what was my HEB order again? Like, and I was yeah. The in-person stuff is just so much more. It's just so much better, and it's the human to human contact is also a good aspect to it.
Are you honest with them?
Who?
Your therapist.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sometimes I might say things a little differently, um, but I mean, yeah. There are some things where I'm like, ooh, when I say that out loud, I kind of feel like a monster. Um, but yeah, no, I would say like I'm 99% truthful and accurate with them. There are some things where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna keep that to myself. But yeah, there's certain things, but everything else, yeah. I mean, he knows pretty much everything. I would say at this point, I just don't go as granular or micro as I should, maybe on a couple things. But
Is there anything that you'd feel comfortable telling me that you said to him where you sort of feel like a monster in that moment?
yeah, I'm 100% not gonna say that on here, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine.
Uh, yeah, that would be a good clip, though. Goddamn.
Is
No,
it I promise I'm not trying to pull something out of
yeah.
you that you don't want to say. Does it have anything to do with anything that we talked about in our first episode, or are there, because you were so honest with me, in talking about your son and your dad and
Yeah.
your upbringing. Is there a whole separate set of
Oh yeah.
things Dylan is thinking about that even I don't know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you were so honest with me in that episode.
Yeah, that was an earlier time for sure, but as time has gone by, yeah, some of that does pertain to that, but there are also other aspects too. Oh yeah, 100%.
In what I said to you about quality, does it have anything to do with business?
No, no, I'm very direct and savage there. No, it's all personal life shit, like non business wise at all.
Okay. All right. You're such an interesting person, Dylan Carpenter. um, I'm gonna pivot a little bit here. What is there any belief you had about yourself when you were on the podcast the first time that you've changed your mind about in the last 2 years?
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, last time I was on here, I was in a great relationship. Um, yeah, and I thought my life would be a little bit different right now. I mean, yeah, I was thinking of marriage and all these sorts of things maybe at that time. So, yeah, I would say like my life trajectory kind of did a 180, which is good for me. But yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. The business side has stayed the same. I mean, before it was, yeah, probably the only thing business related is like, cool, how can I make as much money as possible? But now it's like not about that 100%. It's where, like I mentioned, more in the telemedicine space, you realize how much you're actually helping people change their lifestyles. So I mean, that's the money's still up there, but that's also kind of picked up as well. But yeah, I would say the biggest thing is just the trajectory of what I thought I'd be right now, like more or less, like relationship wise.
Are you single right now?
Hmm.
How's that sitting with you?
I fucking love it.
Why?
I lost myself in the last relationship, 100%. And I feel like I'm back to kind of my goofy, spunky self. Um, where it's like, cool, the whole selfless thing that got brought up. This sounds like pretty ego heavy, but yeah, everything I do is for me now. I don't have to think of, oh, cool, maybe she wants to do this or maybe she wants this. So it's like, because yeah, I mean, it takes two to tango, and I'm really open minded and compromisable to where then it was like, sweet, there are two of us to consider, but now it's just me and Finn. So it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's funny because I have a lot of friends who are worried about the fact that they're single, and dating and being in a relationship is sort of a hot topic right now. But you're content with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably been a year. So I've been single. Should have been done earlier, yeah. But she was great. I think we were together probably 5.5 years. But at the end of the day, we just weren't each other's life partners. So, yeah, I mean, I hope she's crushing it and finds amazing love at the end of the day. But like, yeah, for me, I'm kind of just loving and enjoying life right now, single.
Yeah, me too. Someone asked me recently what I would do if I got in a relationship and I was still in this apartment specifically. What would I do if I woke up one morning and told whoever my partner is, like, oh, Dylan Carpenter's coming over at 10:30 today. So from 10:30 to 12:30, I'm going to need you to either be silent or leave. If they had some sort of problem with that, what would I say? I would say, well, the door's right there.
Yeah,
Like, this is who I am. This is such a big part of my identity. Like, that's and going back to like the deal breakers, this is another one. If someone has an issue with this and the fact that I record on Sunday mornings and Thursday evenings and Saturday afternoons, like, sorry, that just it's who I am.
yeah, yeah. No, and I mean, that's a what would you call that? Not a crutch. Like a non-negotiable. That's a pretty easy one, luckily. So yeah, I mean, that's generous. Here's the door. I would have opened that. Goodbye.
Yeah.
The movers are on the way. Yeah, no, I mean, there are certain things I feel like that's just sudden. The other tricky part with that is like in the future. I mean, I definitely want somebody who has their own life, their own group of friends, their own set things that they enjoy and shit. So where it's like not somebody kind of moving into your life, I guess. And I guess to restate that is like, and I've noticed that the older you get, people they already have their own lives, their batch of friends, their hobbies and whatnot. So where earlier people are still figuring that out, so it was very easy to say, "Oh, cool. These friends have girlfriends. They become their friends." So it's like everything's kind of stemming from one person in the couple, essentially, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not the identity side, but it kind of is. The identity turns into like one versus two separate identities, which I think is, in my case, that would be the ideal scenario of somebody cool. They have their own shit. So,
do you interact with people between the ages of 14 and 25 very often?
No.
Okay. Well, I probably should have asked this next question, but I'm going to dive in for it anyways. As you know, 8 days ago, I did my first episode in front of a live audience, and probably about 30 minutes from the end of the show, this old, decrepit, like 80-year-old couple walked in. They're not decrepit. Guy was named John and his wife Barbara, and I thought it was sort of strange that they walked in and that they stayed, because my target audience is 30 years and younger. But they not only did they join us, but I could tell they were like listening intently to the conversation. The episode ends, they come up to the stage, and they said, "We are going to tell our 21-year-old grandson about your podcast, because he is doing his whole life revolves around getting to 10,000 followers on Instagram, and he has started posting things that are going to get him kicked out of college and potentially put in jail." And I'm assuming it's probably like either drug related things, or we digressed down a different rabbit hole. So I never got a chance to ask them, what exactly is he posting that is going to get him kicked out of college or put in jail? But in your mind, is there anything that younger people right now are chasing that's a potential trap?
Oh yeah, the whole creator, influencer, social. I feel like, I don't know. There's got to be a certain age where like people just don't want to work anymore. They want to find the easiest way to make money. Like OnlyFans is a good example. I mean, the amount of chicks who are like, "I quit my 9 to 5 because my friends were like, you're hot, you could be an OnlyFans," and then like they show like the 6 month statements of like $18, $15. So it's like, it's kind of taking the easy way out, in my opinion. Some people can crush it, but I mean, I feel like you either have to get really lucky or be really good at some sort of skill set, whether it's like sales or communication, to where I feel like when you're that young, you don't really get that unless you've kind of been through a little bit of the ringer. But yeah, I mean, social media is just the toxic, even though I do ads on there, I just think it's the most toxic fucking thing in the world. With a lot of false, it's all fake. It's all a gimmick, in my opinion. But we came up at a good time where it was like, cool, you could do a lot of weird shit and not get canceled. But now, I mean, everything's like, even some of these 13-year-olds on Snapchat, like this one person I was talking to was telling me about this teaching 6th grade, and what these kids are doing is fucking absurd.
Like what?
What they're posting online, and like videos of doing some pretty crazy shit, and like threatening people on like a pretty extreme, get on a list manner kind of thing. And I was just like, man, I was trying to figure out if I was gonna have a fucking blue or red slushy at lunch that time.
Yeah, me too.
Whereas like, yeah, like the kids are, one kid lit up a blunt in class, and I'm like, what grade is this? They're 12, 13-year-olds, and I'm just like, holy shit. So I mean, yeah, but I think it's just due to the internet age of just everything being more accessible. And no one sees the bad parts of things too, because I mean everything that you see online and goes viral, it's all really pretty. It's like cool. Maybe I could do this. When in reality, I'm not even a tenth of a percent can maybe actually make this happen. So I mean, yeah, I forgot what the question was, but
Yeah, I do too. But while you were talking, it made me think about a post I made on when it comes to.
can I try one of those flavors?
You want a citrus?
Yeah,
There's also mojito.
I'm not a big mojito guy. To be
Okay,
honest.
yeah, try citrus. Let's see how you do with this. We're about to see the man get taken down by a flavored Zin.
My tummy hurts.
No, social media. It was funny. I also started seeing a therapist about 6 or 7 months ago,
Oh yeah.
and I can talk about what got me in there if you want. But one of the things we talked about was, or we actively talk about, is he said the fact that you run a mental health podcast, you are going to be a bad guy in some people's mind. And I saw that for the first time when me and a guest were talking about the intro, the same intro that I just read you. And we were talking about some numbers that the CDC reported about teens committing suicide in the US. I posted this little clip on Instagram, over 100,000 views and over 500 comments of people just bashing me about, oh, it wasn't this number, it was that number, and who are you and your guests to be talking about this? And it was a really sad moment for me because I thought, whether the number is one kid, 1,000 kids, or 10,000 kids, the fact that a human being under 24 years of age takes their own life is fucking sad.
Yeah.
And you guys aren't worried about that. You're talking about, oh, the CDC got their numbers wrong. David got his numbers wrong. The guest that he had on the show got his. I was like, what are we even doing here? And I ended up turning the comments off because I have to leave my Instagram notifications on because that's how I talk to all my guests. So when they message me, I need to see that so I can respond to them. And it brought such a negative energy. I was just like, okay, we're 500 comments in. I'm turning this off. Clear. All of you hate me. That's fine. What's going through your head right now, Dylan Carpenter?
I was like in my head, I'm like, hey, any engagement's good engagement. I mean, the more people that comments on it, the more exposure it gets.
True.
I mean, you seem like you have thick skin too, so I mean, I would also almost just make a little drink, go on the couch, and be like, what does Deborah from Kentucky have to say about me?
I did have some pretty sassy replies to some of them. I'm not gonna lie. Part of the reason for turning the comments off, the post it was up 2 days before the live event, so I'm not usually like the optimization guy. But the week leading up to that event, I was like being so specific about my sleep schedule, my workout schedule. The live event was the biggest thing that I've ever done in my life. So I was doing everything I could to be in a good headspace. But I did have the same thought when I turned the comments off of like, oh, the views are probably going to stop going up because people aren't commenting. But I needed to be in a good headspace.
You ready for a funny story?
Yes.
So since we're talking about views and all that shit, I woke up. This was 2 weeks ago. It was Monday morning, and I had like a dozen texts, and I'm like, man, it's fucking early. No one ever texts me this early. What the fuck's going on? And a couple of them were like, hey, you went viral on TikTok, and I'm like, I don't even have TikTok for one. And I was like, fuck, what do you mean? And then, I'm waiting for the replies. I'm waking up. I'm like, let me check my dating profiles and see what's going on. And my Hinge and Bumble are blowing up too. And I'm like, must have been a good night. And then it's like, did you know you're on TikTok? And I'm like, oh, fuck. So maybe 10, 15 minutes later at that point, some girl sent me a link. And it was a TikTok post of a girl at the Texas Stars game. They're calling it the Boy Aquarium now. It's I haven't heard that. That was the first time I heard it maybe 6 months ago. But it was some girl recording, I caught a fish at the Boy Aquarium while swiping Hinge, and it was my profile. And it's a picture of me on the bench. I look cool on the bench,
Yeah.
I had a pro day. And it was me, and I'm just like, ooh, that doesn't seem good. I don't know if I want this out there. And all of a sudden, I see... I think at that point it had like 200,000 or 300,000 views and maybe 100 comments, and I'm like, whew, I don't want to read these right now. And then another girl on Instagram DM me, and she's like, oh my God, you're on Instagram? Like, you're going viral. And I'm like, oh, fuck, it's on Instagram too? And it was, I don't know if it's the same girl that posted it, but then that one had a lot of views too and comments. And I'm just like, I don't know if this is good or bad. And at one point, I did start going through some of the comments, and it was pretty fucking funny. People were like, he's not actually on the team. He's an emergency backup goalie. And I'm like, oh, this fucking somebody called the police, you know? This girl knows everything about hockey. But then the funny part was, I was like, I saw a few comments from people, and I'm like, I recognize that picture. I matched with her online. And then I saw another comment with like a bunch of replies. Oh, I matched with him too. Oh, me too. Oh, me too. My profile is just, I'm just like, ugh, fuck. I hope no one connects the dots. And then so I looked at it for like 2 days, and it ended up getting, it was like over 1 million views on TikTok, and I'm just like, this is
Jesus.
not good. And in my head at one point, I was like, I kind of want to reply and be like, you found me, or this has been really funny to read, but I decided to just, let it marinate. I never said anything about it. But I remember there was one comment from a girl, and I was like, I have a date with this girl tonight, actually.
Oh.
So we were texting, and she's like, how's your day? But I'm like, it's been a weird day. It's kind of been a little off more than normal. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'll tell you for dinner tonight. It's nothing crazy right now. So we're sitting at the restaurant and whatnot, and she's like, so what made it like an odd day? And I'm like, I really don't want to, say this. It's kind of weird, but like, I got a bunch of, links of me on a TikTok video, and she's like, oh, what was it? And I was like, oh, it's my dating profile on there, kind of went viral a little bit. And she's like, oh, yeah, I saw it. And I'm like, what, you saw it? I'm like, I fucking knew she saw it. And it was just a really funny experience, because I was kind of see how she was going to react to it. Because I did get a text that morning of like some girl who saw it, and she's like, I saw you in a video. I don't think we should, chat anymore. I'm like, hey, no worries. I completely understand. And I figured that's what it was from. But yeah, no, it was just a very odd experience. The hockey guys loved it. They were posting the shit out of it, and I'm just like, fuck. But no, it wasn't a bad video. Like, it wasn't like any. I mean, some of the girls had some fucked up shit, which is pretty funny. I won't get too into that, because there was a slight history there, so I'm like, oh, they just want these little subtle jabs. But no, it was funny. But I haven't looked at it in probably a week or a week and a half. But hopefully it has more views. It didn't. My website traffic didn't say go up any at all, so it's kind of bullshit. But no, I didn't want anybody to figure out who I was, or like, I think a couple found me on Instagram, but I didn't feel like being like, sup, it's me. Yeah, stay hidden like a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a good point that the conversions to the podcast were not very many from that post, but some people did jump over to the full episode, and there were a few people who were like, thank you for talking about this. And so, like you said, any attention is good attention. And I've always thought, I'm glad I didn't start the podcast until I was about 36, because my thin has gotten thicker over the years. So I feel like I can deal with this stuff now, and it's like, whatever, you guys are idiots. But you made a comment that when it got to 1 million plus views, you sort of thought, "Ooh, this isn't good." Why was it not good?
I just didn't want some dots to get connected, I guess you can say, of, oh, hey, I went on a date with him too. Oh, I did too. I didn't want it to get that deep into it. Like, whenever
Yes.
people were like, oh, I matched with him too, I'm like, oh, that's funny. That's not a big deal. But I guess my reach is just really fucking good. Or hers was. But it definitely, I just didn't want it to bring up questions of like, oh, he took me out last week. Oh, I'm going out with him tonight.
Yeah.
Those sorts of things where it's like, oh, this guy, he's going on some dates. So it's kind of what it came down to.
It's funny how so many people are chasing that. They're like, oh, maybe this will be the post that gets, X amount of views. And then you had that moment, and you're like, I wish it didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a couple of friends like, dude, you should totally comment on that. You'd get so many DMs. I'm like, I don't know if I want that. The one thing that has stayed the same since the last time we spoke about is I never wanted to like be out there social wise. I have zero desire to grow followers or do any of that sort of stuff. I kind of like not a hidden life, but like it's low key. I have zero desire to share what I do online. Like on Instagram, my friends are like, dude, people think like you're not real. Like my posts were like a year and a half apart, if anything. So like whenever I did become single, that was a question where it's like, you haven't posted in like 8 months. And I'm just like, I fucking hate social media. I run ads on it. The last thing I want to do is get on it to make a post. So I have tried to make it more of a point to like post a little bit more actively and whatnot, just so people know I'm real and I'm not a catfish or something. But yeah,
Yeah. What you also made an interesting comment about one person said that maybe you guys shouldn't talk anymore.
Mhm.
Do you think was that you might not know the answer to this question, but do you think she saw that you were actively dating and that was a red flag? Because sometimes when I'm interviewing candidates for jobs, they're like hesitant to tell me that they're talking to other employers, and I always tell them, we're also talking to other candidates. Like we all know this, right? Like you're talking to other employers, we're talking to other candidates, you're dating multiple people. It's like this weird secret that we're all so scared to admit, but it's like, but we know this. This isn't like a hot take.
no. I think it was the timing of it all. To be honest with you, I think the night before that, or the day or two before that, this woman and I we went on a date. So like, and I thought it went great. I was like, sweet, that went really smooth. So I mean, I think with that happening, maybe that same day or something, I'm like, maybe she saw it and maybe that's what it was. So I mean, my therapist even says like I do a lot of assumptions and shit. So I mean, I was assuming, oh, she saw the video, and then of course, I didn't want to, because we met, naturally, organically at one of these events or whatnot. So I just thought, oh, she doesn't want to, date somebody who's actively on these dating websites, which I get, but it could have been something completely different. I just respect what they say, and I didn't want to be like, what made you say that? I'm kind of curious.
Right, it's a weird question to
It's
ask.
like a post exit interview where I'm like, of course I'm curious, but I want to respect the boundaries. So
Do the silences make you uncomfortable?
a little bit.
A little bit. Sorry, I'm just
No, it's
seeing what brews.
that's funny. Yeah, no, I mean,
You goalie slut. That's one thing I forgot you said. I was walking that this morning, and I was listening to our first episode, and we kicked it off talking about you being a hockey player, and you're like, yeah, I'm a little bit of a goalie slut. And I was like, completely forgot he said that.
Oh yeah, I was collecting so much gear. I mean, being a goalie, you can get some badass stuff and like look cool and stuff, but I haven't really done much of that. I have like cool custom helmets and stuff now, but I don't know. I just ran out of room. I had like 5 or 6 sets, and those things take up a lot of fucking space. And I just sold a bunch of them. Because yeah, I would definitely say right now I'm going through like a life transition, which is pretty fun.
How so? I mean, the single part, I'm sure, is a big part of it. Is there? You mentioned when I invited you back on that there has been a lot of change. I know this is sort of a vague question, but what else has changed in the last 2 years?
The relationship was everything. That was the big change, which led me down to feeling like I was missing out on a lot of things. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do all those things I wanted to do. Then I think I immediately went to Greece for like 2 weeks. I don't know. I think I was like international for like a month and a half last year as a whole, just floating around, traveling. Um, trying exotic food, and then with the house, I ended up buying that house originally, not with my partner, but as we were together, and everything there just kind of reminded me of the situation I was in. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna buy another house now. So I bought another house in December on the east side, closer to the hustle and bustle. I love hosting, and all my friends hated coming up to the domain. So like, some of them are on the south side, so it's like 45-minute drive. So I was like, cool. I love to host. So let me quit a cool spot where I can host. So I got a house. I'm building a pool right now. Um, that'll be electric. Yeah. So like my whole routine has changed. I got a dog, a street dog. Found him on the side of the street. Nursed him back to health. He was a foster fail. But we're like two peas in a pod. Like it's crazy. Like every single day, like around noon, he comes in the office and he's like, nap time, and I'm like, let's go. So we lay on the couch, take a nap. It's beautiful, beautiful thing. Um, but yeah, no. So I guess like the living arrangements changed drastically. My schedule, um, my client workloads changed a lot, to where it's a lot bigger fish now, which is more stressful, but it's also more money, which is cool. Um, yeah, no, and I have a whole new social life, which I don't feel bad about, which I did originally, just because I was out and about, not at home with my ex and whatnot, spending quality time, which is such a vague word. I guess sitting on the couch watching, you know, Bachelor in Paradise isn't quality time. Who would have thought? Um, so, but I understand the concept of it, but yeah, now it's nice being able to kind of do what I want. Like shit this Friday, uh, on the fly, we bought some midget wrestling tickets, and then I have
Midget wrestling.
yeah, it's electric.
I know it's a thing. I've only heard that reference once, and this is the second time.
It's in Cedar Park. I went to it last year, which was fucking sick. And then I have Alice in Wonderland at the concourse right after that. So I mean, these are things I wouldn't have been able to do. So yeah, I just have a lot more freedom, which is very refreshing and nice, and not having to worry about what's going on back home, kind of thing.
How was it being international for 6 weeks?
Oh, it's dope. I love it. It's different. I go for the culture and the difference, the change of scenery and different food and how much cheaper things are, more affordable, I should say. Greece was cool. That was an interesting, like, big first one I went with my buddy Steen, who you talked to, because we've done Colombia. I don't know, we've done a bunch of countries together and shit. Greece was cool, but the big one that all the guys are going to Japan.
Yes.
Japan, that was fucking life changing. Just cool culture, sick snowboarding, even better food.
In Japan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
so
know they had snowboarding out. I don't know a lot about Japan, but
yeah, so we were supposed to go for like a week and a half, and it ended up turning into a 3-week trip. I just didn't want to leave. I just felt bad for Finn. The time change was different too. We were in the future technically, so like an 11 a.m. call here was like 2 a.m. there. Then I'm at the club by then, twerking, shaking my ass a little bit. So I mean that was tough. But yeah, no, Japan was it was a life changing experience for sure. Of just what else is out there, and turns out I like Asian women. Who would have thought?
I had a feeling that's what. Yeah, you had a very what's the word I'm looking for? Not suspicious. You just had a smirk on your face, and I was like, I know why that was life changing.
Yeah, the food was unreal.
The food was unreal. Sure.
But no, it was a blast. Going there with my best friend, and I mean, you've met him, I think, in person.
One time, yeah.
He's this tall Norwegian dude, long blonde hair, and
big arms.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he's looking a lot smaller recently. I hope he hears
Uh-oh.
that. But no, like when we travel, it's always such a good time. It's hard finding somebody you can travel with where like each other's quirks and shit. Because I've definitely been on traveling with other friends or even couples vacations and stuff, and it's just like some shit always goes down. Of like, oh god, Deborah's here, she sucks. But like with me and him, we know exactly like what we're both vibing with, or like, okay, he's ready to get wild, or he's not wanting to do anything, and we can kind of talk each other into doing things. So it's nice having a partner in crime to kind of do that shit with, where you kind of understand each other pretty well.
Yeah. I had a guy that I invited on the podcast. He declined, and then like a year later, he hit me up, and he was like, "Hey, I'm planning this like trip to Costa Rica. Do you want to come with us?" And I was just like, "Dude, no," because I'm not about to, I don't like going to, you invited me to internet marketing party, and to use that as an example, like that makes me uncomfortable. It's $39, it's 20 minutes away. The barrier to entry is so low, but even just going to a networking event for 2 hours makes me uncomfortable. And then this guy's inviting me on a 2-week trip to Costa Rica with 12 other people I've never met before. I'm like, absolutely not, brother.
I do have a good dentist there. San Jose. Yeah, dental's expensive. So speaking of IMP, I have an even better event now.
Tell me.
It's called like on the Austin Conscious Community. My buddy Nate Ginsberg hosts it. He's great. I met him at IMP and stuff, but the best way to put it, it's like IMP on steroids. There's no speaker. It's usually at Roma, which is a really badass bar, or it's like a club downtown with a rooftop, and they have a DJ. But it's a way better environment, in my opinion.
In what way?
The people. It's not as networky. The only thing that throws me off there is with the name, conscious community. It's a lot of people that are like nothing against it, spiritual. They're like rocks, the energy and vibes and stuff. So I mean that throws me off a little bit. Someone will walk up, "What's your sign?" And I'm just like, "Fuck, I gotta get out of this conversation quick."
My sign is this dick, bitch. I'm sorry.
Chat, clip that.
Sometimes when I don't do morning interviews very often because that comes out, and I'm just like, what did I just say?
Honestly,
sorry.
No, that's gold. No, it's funny you say that because like I ran into a girl I talked to there, and I hadn't talked to her in a while, and she like tapped my shoulder when I'm walking by. And at that point, I'm at the point of no return. I've had way too much to drink, and I'm standing next to her. And she's like, "You put on some weight." And in my head, I'm just like, "This bitch." And I think I'm like, "Yeah, I went all directly to my ass," and then I walked away. I'm like, "Damn it, I should have went all to my dick." But yeah, no, it's such a fun crowd. It's definitely a different vibe. I mean, IMP's this next Wednesday, but I'm not going to that one. But cause yeah, I'm gonna be on bed rest this next week, pretty much. So I'm gonna be having a very chill coming week, which will be very nice.
Why are you gonna be on bed rest?
I'm getting the old snip on Tuesday.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This is a crazy story that I'm about to tell you, but my brother did that. So he and his girlfriend, him and his wife were high school sweethearts, and as soon as they graduated to high school, they had their first kid on accident. And then they had 2 more boys, so they have 3 boys. They wanted to have 1 boy, 1 girl. And so then after they had 3 boys, my brother was like, "We're done." So he sorry guys, I just thought of a question for Dylan. I want to ask him after
He
I
wrote
tell
down
the story.
vasectomy.
Yeah.
No.
So he was telling me that that he was conscious, but they had him on painkillers, and he said that when they cut him open and they were burning, like
Cauterizing
to
it.
feel the tugging in his stomach mixed with the most unique smell he had ever smelled. He was like, that was insane. So have fun.
Yeah, I mean,
You're gonna smell new smells, feel new feels. You're gonna experience a lot on Tuesday, my friend. Good luck.
I know, and yeah, and I don't take a lot of painkillers or anything. It's like, so they give me like, they're gonna be giving me like laughing gas and nitrous and some shit probably, but I'm anxious about it. I know it's, and I'm going to people, they do like 50 or 60 a week, so I know they know what they're doing. But of course, part of me is also like anxious about it because I'm like, I don't want it to fuck up my dick. That's yeah, that would suck. So yeah, I'm gonna do whatever they fucking tell me to do. But I'm a little anxious. I'm not anti-kids, but by any means. I just with my whole situation in the past and whatnot, the last thing I want now is for an accident to happen. So I just have too much to lose at this point, in my opinion. But I went to the sperm bank last week. That was a weird place to rub one out. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was kind of thrilling until you hear the conference call and the room next door, and I'm just like, ugh.
Did you do that so that you can have kids in the future? Or
I wanted to freeze them just in case. Because I mean, you can reverse it, but I mean, I'm not going in there. I'm not going in there with the incentive like, oh yeah, hey, down the road I'm gonna reverse it. No, I'd rather keep this puppy tied up to a T. But I also, if I have a partner down the road, I wouldn't want to take that from her if she did want to have kids. And hey, maybe in 20 years, and I'm, or when I'm 65, have a hot little 25-year-old, girlfriend who wants to have kids or something. But no, I just want to, keep my troops frozen on ice for a little bit, just in case. But yeah, no, for me, it's more of a safety net, so I don't have an accident, I guess you can say.
This is a huge decision, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
You have a son.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Like you said, you're not anti-kids, and I'm not trying to lead you. I'm not. What's it called when you're trying to like get a specific answer out
Trying
of
to bait
someone?
me?
Yeah, I'm not trying to trap bait you.
You're a masturbator, dude. So.
No, I'm genuinely just curious. What
Yeah.
led you to this point of deciding to do this on Tuesday?
I wanted to do it I've wanted to do it for a long time. But I just was never sure where like life would kind of take me. Essentially, one of the core reasons was even birth control is fucked for women these days. It fucks their hormones up. So I mean, originally with my ex, I even thought about it to where I'm like, I didn't really want to have kids, but it wasn't 100% certain kind of thing. But I more or less wanted to get it done so she wouldn't have to take birth control anymore. So there were some like good ethics and morals around it, which are still there. But yeah, no, I just have zero desire. I mean, right now to have something kind of pop up because it is a big thing. But I don't know. I mean, we know how it is to where it's like men are a lot more studied, and I feel like have more options than women these days. Where it's like it's a pretty easy procedure. It probably take 10 minutes. I'll have a lot of good dick jokes. I've been writing some down already. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a big thing. I know they keep the rooms really cold, so it'll probably just be a little thing if anything. But I mean, but yeah, I'm not too stressed about it. Of course, I go online and see the nightmare scenarios. But of course, if you have a good experience, you're not gonna go online and be like, "Here's how it was." There are good experiences, but it's like in my head, I always see the best and worst case scenarios, and if the worst case happens, then yeah, that would long. That stuff's fun. So it's like if you can't, do sexual stuff. I mean, I'm definitely the kind of person where it's like, what else is there to live for, kind of thing. Because yeah, I mean, I have a son. My bloodline's out there at this point. I mean, if things were done differently, who knows? Maybe I'd have 2 kids by now and be married. Who the fuck knows? But yeah, no. I'm pumped to get it done.
Pumped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think this is a pro or a con in the dating scene? Or have you not even thought about this?
No, I have. I don't know. I think it's a mix of both. And I guess why I say that is like some women really want to have kids, and this is kind of a move where it's like, cool, this guy 100% does not want to have kids. So that could limit the dating pool a bit, but it's also very like I know what I have to offer. I know what I kind of want. So it's also like this guy has an idea of what he wants in life, essentially. So I mean, I've definitely been on dates where they're like, yeah, I have zero desire for kids, and I'm like, sweet, that makes it easy. But then I've also been on dates where it's like, I really do want like 4 kids, and I'm just like, oof. Yeah. And that was the funny part. Even in Japan, is like they move fast. I don't move fast in that relationship world. I mean, my last relationship was 5 years, and people are like, "You never proposed." I'm like, I want to make sure it was the right move. And hey,
it wasn't.
Yeah. But over there, they're like, "Yeah, we want to get married like within a year and have a couple kids," and I'm just like, "Sweet, cool, not for me." But yeah, no, I mean, in my world, it's all pros. But I mean, there could be somebody I'm really into, and I'm like, man, I would really love to get to know her more. I just know she would, she wants to have a family at some point. So, I mean, it just depends on which way the ocean flows,
I have a buddy who lives here in Austin, and he just damn, I wish I could remember what country he moved to, or it was somewhere in Europe, but I forget where. But he was looking for like a I'll call it a 90s relationship, like what my parents had, where my mom was a registered nurse, but when she met my dad and then they got married and they started having kids, she quit her job. He was the breadwinner. She stayed at home and raised the kids the way that they wanted to raise them. And he really is looking for that.
Yep.
A woman who will be fully dedicated to training their kids to be the humans that they want them to be. And he lived in New York for a little bit. He lived in Miami for a little bit, and then he lived in Austin for a little bit, and he could not find this woman, so he moved to Europe.
He found her within 2 weeks.
You think so?
Wait, did he?
No.
Oh. Yeah.
He stayed for 6 months, and now he's back in Austin.
Oh god.
Oh, God.
Yeah. No, I can relate to that. I mean, the whole traditional aspect, it is cool. And I've definitely had, I can say I like the traditional side of things. I would love to be the breadwinner, and this is probably sounds sexist, but yeah, I would love to have a wife who is a great cook, loves to clean, that type of stuff. When that gets said here, it's like, oh, what? So it's like I've noticed the culture with American women is very different than European or even Asian women. They have a lot more appreciation for their partners, in my opinion. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not here by any means. I mean, I haven't found many of them. I definitely have, but nothing kind of comes from it. But I definitely think the culture of how they picture their partner is very different. Where I feel like this is probably gonna be a controversial take, but a lot of women here want to be kind of handed things a little bit more, in my opinion. So yeah, it's definitely interesting to where I've even made jokes with my friends. Like, I mean, I definitely foresee myself having a non-American, girlfriend or wife, just because it kind of fits my lifestyle a little bit more and what I want in a partner. But I also have friends who love power couples. I've definitely talked to women who are like me, business owners. I'm definitely I don't know, a certain type of person, and if it's somebody similar to me, two of me is a fucking nightmare. So I know what I want, but yeah, two of me would just be pretty intense and a lot of clashing, in my opinion. But yeah.
There's 6 questions I want to ask you, and I'm internally debating between which one I want to go with. So I'll go with the. God damn it. Why do you think that women want to be handed things? Let's go with it. Is it just from personal experience?
Yeah. I think they feel more entitled. And I'm probably, I mean, I could see getting roasted for this without a doubt, but
we will.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
DM me the insults at Marketer Dylan. No, I mean, I don't know if it's just how people are brought up. But yeah, I just feel like I don't know if it's the whole feminism side, which nothing wrong with that. Equal pay, I'm all for it. But yeah, no, at least the situations I've been, I almost feel like I get taken advantage of to an extent because I love being a nice guy. I love to spoil but there's definitely a point where I'm like, this is kind of not what I actually want. So it's just I don't know, and I guess in my progression through this is I just see a lot of entitlement of they deserve all these things to where it's not of oh, that's actually really cool, we have that. It's more of oh no, we deserve that. So that's the kind of way I kind of see it.
Yeah.
But it's a flip of the coin, who knows. I was gonna go out on Friday night or Thursday night, and I was with all my marketing guys, and it was at that event, and I'm like, dude, I'm exhausted. I have that wedding the next night, and I'm like, you know what? Flip a coin. Tails will go. Heads will stay in. These motherfuckers got me. Apparently, he was using GPT to flip a coin, and he did it, I guess, a couple times, and it went heads twice. And then I'm like, let me come watch. and he does it again, and it goes tails. And I thought it was the first flip. At the end of the night, we're back at the house, buzzing. He's like, "You want to hear something crazy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I baited GPT to flip tails so we'd go out." I'm like, "You motherfucker, dude." Hey, it worked. Like, right when I saw tails, I'm like, "We're going out, y'all." My friend was like, 2 out of 3. I'm like, "No, one and done. We're good." But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
Do you think you said, I might get roasted for this, but I want a woman who can clean, I want a woman who can cook. See, I feel like we're living in a time where like honesty is so bad and
yeah,
everything ends in an ist. Oh, that was sexist. That was racist. And it's like, you are we not allowed to just pursue what we want anymore and be honest?
um, it's like you're stepping on glass and like which one's gonna cut me kind of thing. Cause yeah, I mean, I don't know. I never want someone to feel like disrespected, and I can see how that can kind of come off really disrespectful. Cause yeah, I mean, even if I had somebody who can clean, you bet your ass I'm gonna have another maid who deep cleans the baseboards like you don't. But yeah, no, it's hard to be honest these days because I feel like I don't know. I mean, some people, everybody's different, but like I mentioned, I mean, the last thing I want to do is make someone feel, disrespected or off or like attacked in some sort of sense. So I mean, there are definitely certain things I say, depending on who I'm talking to, that's a little bit more not as direct as it should be, but it kind of gets the point across in a more nicer manner to where I know they're not going to overreact. Because people's skin is just too fucking soft these days. So yeah. So yeah, you can't be honest anymore. We have to lie. No, no, I'm just kidding.
We do. Actually, last week when I was meeting with Evan, my therapist, I don't know if you know this about me because we usually talk about you when I have you on the show. I'm gay, and
You're gay?
yeah,
I didn't even know that.
and over the last 3 years, the biggest objection, the main reason why I have not made it on a second date with someone is as soon as they find out that I host a podcast, they see a giant red flag.
Really?
And there's one guy who I asked, "Why is this a red flag?" And he says this was over text. And he sent me this 6-paragraph long message about everything wrong with Joe Rogan.
Oh.
And I said, I wanted to say, but I'm not Joe. And when I went to send that, the text turned green and he blocked me. So he sent his piece about Joe and then he blocked me. And I think that's one of my biggest frustrations with when I'm looking at dating profiles and someone says like, if you're a Republican, don't even text me. If you're friends with the cop, don't even swipe right. And people have these things. You're a podcaster, not interested. And I was venting to my therapist because I'm like, I'm not going to shut down the podcast to get a boyfriend.
No.
But in the 3 years I've been in Austin, I've probably been on 15, 20 first dates. And the main 2 points of feedback I get is the podcasting thing and the way I dress. I've had multiple men tell me that you don't dress gay enough. And you're betraying our culture, is what one of them told me. And I'm like, dude, I'm wearing these camo pants because they were on sale on Black Friday and I think they're fucking sick. And I'm wearing this black t-shirt because I like how it shows off my arms. I'm wearing these socks because they're comfy. I'm not doing any of this because I'm gay, straight, 38, white, black, man, female. This is just what I like.
And you love a good deal?
And yeah.
Fuck yeah. What made you go to therapy?
So I haven't talked to my dad in about 15 years. And last May, I went home to California to see my family, my mom and my sisters. And my mom gave me a heads up that my dad had asked her, if I called David, what do you think he would do? And she said, I don't know. You would just have to call him. And so he said, okay, before New Year's, I'm going to call him. And I hadn't thought about this guy in over a decade. And it sort of sent me into a spiral. And I needed to talk to someone about, do I take this call or do I not take this call? And that was essentially why I went.
Why didn't you talk to him for 15 years?
So my mom got in a car accident and she had been prescribed some pain meds, Oxy, I think. And she started taking more than her prescribed dose. And so when she ran out early, she would supplement with alcohol to get her to her next
Shit.
refill. And the time in between when she ran out and when she got refilled, she turned into a crazy, unpredictable person. And my dad's way of fixing this scenario was that he was going to divorce her, get full custody of the kids, take 100% of their assets, and put her on the street. Once he told her this, she sobered up instantly. And they did end up divorcing and they got into a custody battle. The way I viewed this was my dad has always been in my mind a monster, and he did some things to my sisters that I don't want to talk about
Yeah.
online because that's their story and I don't want to put it out there. But he is an evil person. And so my mom, the way I looked at it was she is dealing with life with the cards she's been dealt. So when she was in that scenario, I didn't necessarily judge her for supplementing with alcohol because she was just doing what she needed to do to deal with the pain that she was in and the husband that she was married to. So once she sobered up and they got into a custody battle over my little sisters, I threw 100% of my support to my mom. So there was one night where I believe there was some physical abuse involved, even though it was never said. And my mom was so scared that she took my two younger sisters and they went to a hotel and they ran away from my dad.
Mm.
They called me, told me a little bit about what happened. I went to the hotel and my mom said, could you go back to the house to try to get your sister's school book so when they go to school tomorrow, they don't either have to lie or explain to 7 different teachers what happened the night before and then CPS is getting involved. So I said, sure. I go back to the house and I had a key. I opened the front door and it was interesting because I don't know how one is supposed to react when your wife and kids leave you, but my dad is on the couch watching football, just happy as can be, and and that is what it is. He sees me come through the front door. He comes running over. He blocks my way into the family room. What are you doing here? And I said, I'm not here about the fight or to talk with you about anything. I'm just here for Beth and Caitlin's school books tomorrow. Can I get those real quick? And he said, no. And I said, again, I'm not here to fight. I'm just trying to get your daughter's school books so that they don't have to go to school. I try to flip the argument a little bit and get CPS involved. You don't want that. I don't want that. Can I just have their school books so they can go to school tomorrow? He pulls a cell phone out of his pocket. He dials 911. He shoves the phone in my face and says, if you come in and take a step further into this house, I'm calling the cops. I'm telling them that there's a thief and a trespasser in my house, and I need them to come get rid of you. And I said, if you make that phone call and you tell anyone, that your son is a thief and a trespasser, we're done forever. You will never see me again. And he takes about a second to look at me and register that, turns his phone back to him, hits the dial button, shows me that it's ringing. I was so mad. I slapped the phone out of his hand. I left. I go back to the hotel. I tell my mom what happened. And she said, this is not how this night's fucking ending. Come with me. We get in the car. We drive to the local police station. We tell them what happened. The lady at the counter looks at me and she says, are you the alleged thief and trespasser that just broke into 100 Durbane Court? And I said, yes, ma'am, that was me. And she said, all right, go sit over there on that bench. We'll be with you in a second. A few minutes later, about 6 cops come out and they say, follow us. We get in our car. We follow them to the house. We knock on the door. And when my dad opened that door and saw me standing there with the cops on our side, one of the best moments of my life. Half the cops took him to the backyard. The other half the cops helped us get whatever my mom wanted to take. We got my sister's books, clothes. We got a few things from the kitchen. We left. He tried calling me about 2 or 3 months later. I picked up the phone. I said, why the fuck are you calling me? And he said, oh, well, I said, you made a decision to call the cops on your son for trying to get your daughter's school books that night. I told you that was a deal breaker and that we are done. Do not contact me again. We saw each other one more time at a court hearing about 6 months later when the judge was going to declare who was going to get custody of my sisters. I was standing outside the courtroom. He walked up to me and he said, "Hello, son." And I said, "Go fuck yourself." And he just sort of cowardly tucked his tail in between his legs and walked away. Court ruled that my mom was getting full custody of my sisters. I haven't seen him since.
Do you think your perception could ever change towards him?
No.
Did you all ever have that conversation? The more recent one of why you went into the therapy side?
No. So in our first therapy session in January, Evan asked me, so he hasn't called you. He hasn't texted you. He hasn't wrote you a letter. He hasn't reached out. How do you feel about this? And I said, I haven't talked to him in 15 years. I haven't even thought about him. And if he did call me, what are we going to talk about? Like, oh, how's the weather in Austin today? I don't have the time to make small talk. I could be talking with Dylan. I could be at the gym. I could be with friends. I could be working on the podcast. What are we going to talk about? And Evan asked me, how would you feel about blocking his number? And even if he did attempt to call you, you just spent May through December, 7 months. You spent 7 months, and this is the first time in your life that this landed you in a therapist's office. And he didn't fulfill his word. He made a commitment to your mom that he was going to call you by December 31st. He didn't. If you blocked his number and you never heard from him, how would you feel? And I said, honestly, I would feel relieved. And he said, block his number. And I did.
Ooh.
You can be honest in this moment.
No, I mean, honestly, and thanks for sharing this. I appreciate it. I like getting to know you more. If he were to pass away, would there be any regret there?
I'd throw a party. This world will be better when he dies.
Hey.
There's some blunt, honest truth for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seems like such a fucked up scenario, but it's always interesting to hear some of those like stories. But yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like you're at peace with it, so it's kind of refreshing to hear. Even though it's a shitty situation. No, yeah, 'cause the fact he was able to make you spiral out over the past 5 or 6 months, just from that one potential phone call, that's how you know it's like a toxic thing that you don't want in your life.
Yeah.
So, my God, look at you now. My God, dude, it's fucking wild. I did not know you were gay though. That was a surprise.
It's the camo pants.
This guy hunts for sure. I saw him at REI, you know.
Yeah.
He was looking at jockstraps, but I thought I was just getting into some weird shit, you know. Who knows? I have to wear a jockstrap. They were saying for this like vasectomy thing, to tuck the balls up and whatnot. It was like jockstrap or briefs, and I'm like, I'm gonna go there and just an assless jockstrap just to throw them off and shit. But, yeah, thanks for sharing that. I don't know if it's comfortable sharing it, but it's good for people to hear it too.
Well, yeah, I don't mind sharing it, and we're friends, and it adds a little context to who I am. I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Obviously, you just got 38 years of history in 5 minutes, but you're also a father. What's your take on this scenario?
It sounds like y'all were just in a really fucked up situation. So, I mean, I wasn't there. I have no idea what the feelings that kind of got brought up to it. But I mean,
can I ask you a
yeah.
different question? If you and your son ever got to a point where he told you he never wanted to see you again, how would you react to that? And part of the reason I'm asking is because Evan told me if he was my dad, he's also Evan, my therapist, is a father. He said, if I was your dad and that became my reality, the most important thing in my life above money, my clients, anything else is my child. And I would have been camped out at your front door, begging you for your forgiveness, asking every day, how can I get back into your life? And to Evan, he's like, I don't understand your father because he let 15 years go by and he has no idea. Did you ever graduate college? Are you dating anyone? Where do you live? What do you do? Like, he just doesn't care at all. If you got to that point with your son and he told you that, how do you think you would react?
I would have let him get the school books. No, honestly, yeah. I don't think I have a good answer that would be as beautiful as what Evan mentioned, but I would never let it get to that point of like complete arrogance, I guess maybe the word is, to where I don't know. I don't know what I would do in that situation. I mean, I know what I would do. I wouldn't want it to happen, obviously,
Right.
but with my situation, it's just a little bit different to where like as fucked up as it sounds, I don't have that fatherhood mentality, I guess, because I wasn't around when he was born, when he was raised, or whatever it may be. So like, I've never really had that trigger of like, oh, that's my son. Um, he is my son, but I would never, if that situation were to have happened, I mean, I would just put the phone down and be like, I get it, I understand, but yeah, that's a pretty intense ultimatum to an extent. So I mean, yeah, but yeah, no, that's fucking good question. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's an unfair question because you guys are not at that point. And it's like the question of if your back was up against the wall, how would you react? We don't really know. Do I double down? Do I not? Do I, until you're in the moment, there's just some situations in life. If I asked you if a client wants to spend $400,000 a month on a day on ad spend, you could probably answer yes or no pretty quick. But to say if your son told you that he never wanted to see you again, that's sort of a different, it's a different scenario.
it is a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm just not well versed in that space of thinking it through. And even my last I was there maybe last Wednesday or something. So even my therapist is like, "Where do you see it in 5 years or something?" I'm like, "I don't fucking know." Everything's kind of been going with the flow to see what kind of happens. Yeah. So it's with things I'm educated in, it's a lot easier for me. Like even super derailed, but like politics, I don't follow fucking politics. I like seeing the shit talk, from everybody these days. But if somebody asks me like a political question, I'm very upfront to be like, I don't follow enough to have any sort of knowledgeable response. I don't want to sound dumb, so I'd rather just not talk about it at all.
I'm gonna make a hard pivot, but you said something I'm curious about.
Yeah.
Is comedy in your future potentially?
No.
Because you said you jot down some jokes every now and then.
Oh, here and there. No, it's funny because like planning things, I'm planning out like jokes and shit. No, I'm just kind of good on the fly with shit. The amount of people I've had mention like, dude, you should do some stand up. I don't know. I mean, having something structured to me, I don't think it'd be funny. It's more of just I just have funny remarks and witty shit. So it's like it's more on the fly stuff, if anything. But there's always comedy, but not structured comedy.
Can I? I'm going to tell you something. This is so off topic,
Yeah.
but you might get a kick out of it. So a friend introduced me to a friend on Thursday, and he found out I have a podcast. He said, "What's it about? Where can I listen? What's it called?" And I said, "It's called David Saturday Night Sit Back." If you can't remember that, the acronym is DSNSB. And he goes, "BDSM?" And I said, "No, no." But that's funny. And he said, "Wouldn't it be funny if someone started a podcast and called it something where the acronym spelled out BDSM?" And I was like, yeah, that would be funny. And for some reason, that comment lived rent free in my head. So I'm walking Thad on Friday night, and I was like, what could this podcast potentially be called? And so I'm going to read down to you. This is what David does in his free time. Stuff that absolutely does not matter at all. So here are the podcast titles I came up with that could spell out the acronym BDSM. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Bringing dick, slinging meth, bitches, drugs, sex, and money,
That's okay. I like that.
biostatisticians doing soft moaning, bring down something moist, and my favorite one, big dicks, soft moments.
Ooh. That is the winner. That is the winner. Oh my goodness. I've been over here trying to brainstorm. Yeah. Big dick soft moments. Oh my god.
I mean, it could be
A tender touch to big moments.
I mean, it could be. It is, considering what we talk about on this podcast. That title actually somewhat works a little bit.
Oh, dude, that would be. Yeah, that'd be like a fun like spoof episode. To be honest, yeah, I would totally do that.
Do you want to come back for a third episode, and it's gonna be the rebrand of DSNSB, where we become Big Dicks Soft Moments? You can say no.
No, I would so fucking do that. To be honest, it'd be so fucking funny. Dylan, you shared this clip of you on this podcast. What is this?
Your next million view. you know why I invited you back on is because I knew this is exactly what was gonna happen. We were gonna go from your fucking penis getting chopped off to my dad to now we're talking about BDSM acronyms, and I love this. I love having you on, brother.
So with this thing on Tuesday, I'm taking like 4 weeks off of hockey, and like some of the guys are like, "What are you doing again?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting circumcised again," and they're like, "What the fuck?" And then they catch on to it, but no, it'll be a little more gentle than that. Yeah, no, I knew we were going down some rabbit holes. So, I mean. So, with that new thing you're doing, where you call people's friends or family, is that kind of a newer thing? Or.
Yeah.
Do people just like talk shit about each other on there normally? Or is it more of like a nice thing, I guess?
So, it's been an interesting experiment because I've only done it for about 8, 9, 10 people. And I've seen, of these 10 people I've spoken with, people have been going one of two directions so far. Either they are very protective of the person that they're talking about. In your case, Steen didn't know that I knew about Ezra, and he went the protective route.
That makes sense.
And I got barely any information. Which is fine. I get it. It's weird, right? I don't think he remembered that him and I had met, but I could tell his guard was up. The other half of the people are on the flip side, where, to your point, they talk shit, they give me a ton of information, they share the person's deepest, darkest secrets. But what's cool about those ones is and this is why I pressed you to give me a name and number, even though you didn't want to. What's cool is the 5 episodes of the people who have shared, when they show up, most people don't listen to the podcast, so they have no idea what the show is about. And when they come in and they sit down, and I always do a little bit of quote unquote flirting first, right? I try not to open with like a heavy question of like, tell me about the time you talked to your dad last. Like that's a rough first question. So usually I'll give it 10, 20, 30 minutes. And then I dive into whatever we talk about at the phone call, and to sit across from people and see them either laugh hysterically or break down in tears when we're talking about the most visceral moments that have caused them to become the person they are today has been so special. And then I get to take that story and share it with planet Earth. And it's just the most incredible thing I've ever done with my life. And it's been so cool to talk to people's their partners, their parents, and then some of them even tell other people. So like I had one guy who I talked to his best friend, and then his best friend reached out to his mom, and he was like, "Hey, you should talk to David. Your son's going on his podcast." And then the mom reaches out to me, and she's like, "Hey, I want to tell you some things about him before he comes on." And then some of them, I've even got them to send me voice memos that I play to the guest. I'll be like, "Hey, put on the headphones. I want to play you something." And all of a sudden, they're in this room, and their mom is on the phone or their wife is on the phone, and I'm playing them this message of something that they've never told them before, but they wanted to tell them, and to see their reaction to it, dude, it is, these calls are what I believe is going to get this podcast from being in 60 countries to 100 countries, because it's almost like a miracle to see how these people react to this information that's being shared with me.
That's a really cool way to go about it, especially the voice notes of like, hey, listen to this. I love when I'm watching those like Survivor, for example. You're on the island for 28 days, and then they have like little voice notes where they see their family and stuff. And I do love those heartwarming those moments. So I mean, that's a fucking good angle. That's fucking juicy.
It's cool.
Yeah. How many questions do you normally have lined up for these things?
1 to 20.
What's your heaviest hitting one on there?
If your life was a movie, what would the audience be screaming at you to do differently right now?
Oh shit.
Immediate regret. If you're listening on audio, you're so uncomfortable right now.
Did not see that one coming. Slow down.
Slow down. You didn't know I was ready for you, did you?
Put on your headlights. It's too dark out there. I don't fucking know. They'd probably be There's only one of maybe two ways this movie's gonna end, and it may not be the prettiest, or it could be beautiful. So I mean, it'd probably be along the lines of like, what's gonna happen next? I think if my life was a movie, it would just be fucking plot twist after plot twist, to be honest, which I think is fun. The whole normal like comfortability thing, consistency. It's kind of boring. That's when I like get like complacent. Just go robot AI mode and shit. But yeah, maybe that answered that. Maybe that didn't.
You didn't answer it.
What was the question again?
If your life was a movie, what would the audience be screaming at the screen for you to do differently right now?
Funny jokes in my head, but I'm like, what's a serious one?
Which one of the jokes? Let's start there.
He's got a gun. Yeah,
you know what's funny? One of my sisters, she doesn't want to move to Texas because of all the gun owners.
I feel safer for that reason, to be honest, which is weird.
Is that a guy-girl thing? Because that was my reaction. I was like, honestly, if the fucking zombie apocalypse broke out, we're going to be doing so much better than you are in California.
Yeah, and I was even reading of, like, why the U.S. is just so hard. Land invasion would be the worst, is, like, the terrain. But I think we have, like, 120 guns per person in the U.S. So it's, like, some crazy stat of, like, not only do we have, like, all the armies and shit, but you got Bucky and his 17 brothers just waiting. They've been dreaming of this shit to happen, you know. It was all their camping and stuff. They've just been prepping the whole time. So, I mean, we'd be a shitty place to invade. But what they'd be screaming is probably like he doesn't know what he has, maybe. He doesn't even know what he has. Why's he doing all these things?
You think you take your life for granted?
A little bit, yeah. I would say so. I'm really bad at recognizing what I have, because it's always like, what's next? So I never stop and smell the roses. So I guess the whole being present side, I've gotten better with it. But yeah, no. I'm a humble person. I got a fat loogie. But yeah, no, I would say it's like he has no idea what he has. Oh no, I'm good.
Okay.
I just swallowed that motherfucker. But yeah, no, that's a good one. I would probably be like, he doesn't need all these things, or he doesn't need this, or yeah, he doesn't know what he has, or how good he has it, I guess. Yeah.
You hate the silence.
That's a hard fucking question.
Let me ask you sort of a similar question,
Yeah.
but completely different. I've only asked one other guy. Did you ever meet Alan Bader?
Mm-mm.
Okay, he's an IMP guy, but
Oh, is it BADER?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I met him. I was still in the Bader thing, like the, I don't want to. Yeah.
Okay. um, a question I asked him was ever since I moved to Austin. So I was raised Christian, left the church when I was like 21, 22. I moved to Austin. I started the podcast, and some of the best moments of my life have been in the last 3 years. And the question I posed to him was, when these good things happen, right? Like meeting that kid in the gym from your intro. Is it coincidence? Is it God? Is it the fact that we're just working hard, and when people work hard, good things happen as a result of that? I'm curious, where do you stand in this? Do you believe, people get triggered by the word God, so we can call it a higher power, we could call it Mother Nature, we could call it karma. When you think about like the positive things that have happened in your life, have you ever sat for a moment and thought, was I just lucky? Was I just in the right gym at the right time and the right kid heard the right podcast and it all just sort of came together? Or do you think that there could be this outer force that we don't even have words for that's giving Dylan Carpenter these very subtle hints of, like, we call it the gut reaction, right? Where your gut is telling you, work with this client, don't work with that client, go this direction, go that direction. And if we're smart enough to follow that gut reaction, we're going to live the best life we could ever live.
I think it's luck. I think
You
it's
do?
I think it's 100% luck. And I mean, I think what ties into that is like, you have to push your luck because it's not always going to happen. So, I mean, I feel like if you're just sitting at home hoping for something good to happen, I don't think it will unless you're like super lucky. But if you kind of keep putting yourself in these situations where something could come out of it, I think it's 100% luck, personally. I do believe in karma. But yeah, no, I think everything in my life, I think it's just been luck. I think it's just I got lucky for sure. But I've also like put myself in those situations where I have a higher odds of that luck happening, in my opinion. It's like somebody who day trades. If they do 1,000 trades, they're gonna get lucky on a couple of them. But if I just started day trading tomorrow with 7 trades, the odds of getting lucky on 7 is a lot. It's a lot slimmer. So it's 100% a numbers game to me. Yeah.
Did your dad? Did he have any religion that he followed when he was growing up? Or not growing up, but when he raised you. Sorry, when he raised you, did you guys ever go to church or anything?
Oh yeah, I fucking hated it. Yeah, I did like a vacation Bible school, Sunday school. I think why I fucking hate it so much now is how much I was forced to do it then. Nothing against it, by any means. I do think it taught me good ethics and morals, and I think that's where that staple in my head of like treat people the way you want to be treated. I do think it did come from that. And I've even made jokes of like, I had one girl ask me, if we had kids, would we go to church? And I said yes, simply because I wanted them to have those same ethics and morals. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, shit, that was like over 20 years ago. Churches have probably changed now. They're great cash grabs, I would think, at the same time. So some are probably, I think it's more sketchy these days. Times are just different then. So, I mean, that was easy for me to say. And then she brought that up to me where she was like, do you really think it's done the same way as it used to be? And I'm like, I did not think about that, actually. So, yeah. Would I enjoy it there? Fuck no. But if I knew it was teaching good morals on how not to be an asshole, yeah, 100%.
At Christmas, I went home, and one of my sisters brought up the fact that some of the mega churches are just a big cash grab. And I have another sister who is deeply religious, and she got so mad at that. She was like, no one would ever open a church for that. That's impossible. All pastors are perfect. And it's funny to see her, like, she's so defensive of the church, but it's like the concept that there's one bad apple in every group is so, like, there's always going to be a bad cop, a bad teacher, and it doesn't mean all of them are bad, but
the
like,
bad
we're
ones get
humans.
and the bad ones get more exposure. It's like no one's gonna post good news or like a good pastor. You might have a good sermon or something, but the one that committed fraud and has a Ferrari now and a really cool lake house. I mean, shit. I've thought of opening up daycares just with all the fraud going on. I mean, yeah, we're closed 24/7, but business is booming. Federal grants they don't sound that bad. Taxes? What taxes? Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Before we end this thing, let me ask you what this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for coming back. You want to come back in 2 years again?
Yeah.
Okay.
I might be creeping crazier than.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been that crazy though. I feel like it's been pretty mellow and chill.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I mean.
So this podcast, 65% of the audience is 24 years or younger. Another 15% is 30 or younger. So I feel like you're like on paper the ideal guest because you're a couple steps ahead of the people that are tuning into this. Knowing that it's a younger audience that listens, any advice?
Take the risk. Do the things you didn't want to do just because you thought it wouldn't work. Maybe. Learn AI. It's gonna take your job. Yeah, no. I mean, I was always a big fan of risk it for the biscuit, and it's paid off. I mean, it might take longer for some than others. But be a continuous learner and a good listener. Um, that's probably about it. Yeah.
How are you learning? You mentioned you don't read.
My,
Not like books are the only way to learn, but
well, my dating profile say I read, so I mean.
Does it?
I'm very, I'm very literal.
This is going to be your next million view clip. Everything in his dating profile is a lie.
I love A/B testing ads. I'm gonna A/B test on those things too. What? Yeah, but wait.
How are you learning?
Oh. Books, believe it or not. No. It's more experiences, I would say. Now it used to be like communication. Like for my old podcasts, I would have people who are like really big heavy hitters. So it was more to hear their story because you can learn so much from hearing other people's stories so you don't make the same mistake. Of like, hey, I tried this business, and in my head, laundromats are a great business. And you talk to somebody who's had 100 of them, and you're like, ooh, maybe that's not a good business, or that I can get into. But how I'm learning right now is what I want to learn is not business stuff. It's more of like getting to know who I am and what else is out there. So it's more going places, understanding the culture. The only reason I got Bumble was to go to Japan and go on dates with local women who like avoid all the touristy things. Kind of really fuck the Eiffel Tower. Everybody sees that shit. I want to see more of the low key things, the small little dumpling shops and stuff that no one knows about. To kind of really see what it's like for the people who live there and how they're like raised. So that's kind of how I learn. Is just kind of putting myself in those situations. Yeah, I don't learn a lot from online stuff as much these days. Like even that new show Dinosaurs that came out with Morgan Freeman. This is how this dinosaur eats, How the fuck do we know how it ate, Like, it's got a long neck. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of things are just hypothesized out there to where it's like, it's cool to know, but I would never, come to be like, did you know this dinosaur ate this way? Like, it's such bullshit. There's hypothesis, whatever the word is. But, yeah, no, just putting yourself in those situations that you're curious on. Like, if you wanted to get more into the business scene, go to the events and talk to those people. A lot of people are more receptive than you think when you ask, like, decent questions. Make sure it's the right time and place, because if you were to ask me about that shit when I'm 4 Aperol Spritz deep somewhere at an event, I'm going to tell you I do weird shit, and it's going to be very useless for you. But there is a time and place for certain things.
Talk about any closing thoughts for episode number 2?
Congratulations for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool accomplishment. I feel like you can kind of recognize it too, to where you've made it this long, and I can kind of see you still enjoy it. So that's refreshing to see, because it's very easy to just do something because it's normal, and you can tell when someone's like out of the zone or whatever, maybe, or they're just doing it to do it. So it's nice being able to feel the good energy of you actually enjoying this shit? Because do I enjoy ads? Fuck no. So yeah, it's cool seeing somebody kind of follow their passion. One thing with the elders you were kind of mentioning too that I wish I did more when I was younger, if there are young people watching this, is I do think it would be really cool with all the vlogging these days is to like have a list of questions you ask your parents, record it, and do it every 10 years or something. Because I would imagine down the road, some people are just very family oriented. So, I mean, that could be a gold mine for generations to come of like, hey, this is your great, great, great Aunt Sandy or something from, 2017. Um, I think it's just kind of cool memories to kind of see your upbringing and all that kind of jazz. I've been saying I'm going to do it for like 2 years, but
What would you ask? So like for you, would you ask your parent, or like you would want to ask random parents?
oh no, my parents.
What would you ask your parents?
What was it like, like growing up? What were your grandparents like? Um, when's the first time you had sex? The weird shit like that. Just like, I mean, and I actually have an Excel sheet of questions I wanted to ask them. I wonder where it is. But yeah, no, it's just like fun little things. Like, I mean, some can be like, really rude in the family stuff, but I think also just fun ones too. We can kind of see their personality. Because I haven't had a lot of loss in my life, but I do know if, somebody were to pass away, it would be cool to have those little video moments of like, oh, I remember what that was like in person kind of thing. So it's kind of a fun reminder. And we have the technology for it.
Yeah.
We have the technology for it. So
That's one thing Evan asked me once is, what do you know about your dad? Like, and going back to the whole core values thing of seeking to understand before being understood, I actually don't know a lot about him. He would be a very fascinating person to find out, like, leading up to that moment of calling the cops. Like, how did your dad treat you? What was your mom like? What
Yeah.
was family life like in your house? Were you guys happy? Were you guys discontent? Were you like, what was it like? I really don't. It's such a crazy thing to say, but like, tell me about your dad. I can tell you what he was like as a father, but like who he was as a person, I don't know.
yeah. Yeah. No, it's that curiosity thing because we always see things a certain way. So I mean, you never know what people have been through. Like even in your scenario, I mean, I would never have guessed that. You're a happy-go-lucky guy. So I know other people who've had some pretty crazy family traumatic things, and the trauma with it just it's obvious. There's something else where they let it come out more, I guess. So yeah, that's what I would tell the youngsters.
All right, I'm going to ask you the only question that's going to be so cringe and everyone is going to click off when I ask it, or maybe they'll stay on because I'm asking it because they're asking it of me. A lot of dudes between like 17 and 20 are questioning right now, should I go to college because AI is just going to take our jobs anyways? What is your thoughts on AI? And that's sort of a loaded question because I'm sort of asking, should they or should they not go to college? I'm also asking, do you think AI is going to take our jobs? When you think about accountants in the 90s and when the internet came out, they probably thought they were never going to do tax returns again. But here we are in 2026 and we still have accountants.
Yeah.
Are you worried about the future that much? Or what are your thoughts about sort of specifically AI and what the future holds?
There are certain things that still require like it's easy for like a machine learning to like read numbers, but sometimes the numbers aren't accurate. Of hey, I could say this ad's doing really bad, and the machine learning would turn it off. But in reality, that's a certain ad that's it doesn't have to do good. So turning it off would actually cause more harm than good. So I mean, I think learning AI is helpful. It just moves so fast. I think it might be even tougher in the future to where like I kind of went in on it, but it still moves too fast for me. I still use GPT. There's Claude and all these OpenClaw and all these things. When I have friends who get into it, but every week there's something new. So that's hard to follow. I think understanding basic AI is crucial. But following it to a T, I think can almost be toxic, just because there's so many new things coming out. As for the college question, I think you have to figure out what kind of person you are. There are so many fun tests you can take online, like the Enneagrams, or I don't know, there are fucking other ones these chicks make me do. But what is this? I'm like, I don't fucking know. But I don't know. I mean, I still think like trade schools are still huge. I mean, cars. I mean, they're not all gonna be electric. Working on a motor is still gonna. What I pay for a fucking classic car for a motor is fucking stupid because no one can do it. Um, but yeah, I think the only thing college. I don't use anything from college, but I think it helped me get some things out of my system, like a party animal kind of thing and a social aspect. Because I mean, Steen's the only one I really talk to from college still. So I mean, I have my old hockey guys, and like we stay a little connected, but nothing personal. I wouldn't text one of them like, "Hey, let's go get some lunch after this." But it's more that social aspect. For some people, I know it, they hated college. So I think it depends on if you're extroverted, college is a fucking blast. If you're more introverted, it may not be as fun for you. It's kind of more of just a high fucking ticket item to go in depth for. So yeah, no, that's a tough question. I mean, shit, there are 12-year-olds building fucking um, signal jammers right now. If I could invest in that kid right now, I'd fucking do it. So, I mean, I don't know. Everybody's just so different. Some are fast learners. We're all on the spectrum in some way. If you can hyper focus on something, I mean, more than others, I think you have an edge up. But I feel like we're in a shiny object era where there are just so many things you can possibly do where it's tough to specialize in one thing. So, I mean, college, I think it's all about experiences and social interactions. I don't think it's anything about anything you learn. With like trade schools, you're learning a really good skill that I don't think AI is going to be able to touch longer than what they teach you in college.
Yeah.
But but if you have like, nice skin, nice feet, good hands, you could be a hand model, you could do OnlyFans, you could do Only Feet or Feet Finder. There are options out there these days. I mean, AI feet are going to be looking pretty damn good, so you might be fucked there actually, so scratch that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, for some reason, I like. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'm gonna say it. Probably about a year and a half ago. I don't know how this is gonna sit with you. I might never see you again after I tell you this story. About a year and a half ago, I bought this set of nipple clamps, and someone came over. We used them, and I left them behind the door in the bathroom, and I forgot that they were there. And so then I had 3 episodes where all the guests used the bathroom. And so there is a 4th guest coming on, and I was like, shit, because of my beard, my hair obviously falls off, and so every like 2 to 3 weeks I'll go in the bathroom and I'll just wipe the floors because it collects near the perimeter. And so I go in the bathroom, I close the door. I never close the bathroom door. I live alone. There's no reason to. And I see this set of nipple clamps hanging there and realize that 3 people have seen these and no one said anything. And
Dude, I would plant that shit knowing they're gonna see it, and I would bring it up halfway through, just to see like what the reaction and just like how everybody perceived it. I think that'd be the funniest fucking thing ever. That would be such a great montage of like when your guests find your nipple clamps reactions or some shit. Like that would go viral. That would so go viral. Have you been to a sex shop recently?
no. Should I?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go today.
I was
Sunday.
I was rattled. I ended up going on a little date. I guess it went that well, and we ended up having a couple Mai Tais, and we were buzzing. And she brought up when the last time I went to one was, and I'm like, fuck, it's probably been over 10. It's been forever. We're in the digital age. When we went to one of those superstores, oh my god, I was overloaded, dude. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like,
What was it?
oh, it was like a giant X thing on the wall. And I'm like, is this like an art piece? And she's like, it can be. I'm like, oh, there are straps tied to it. Yeah, and then they have like the gelatin butts and stuff. And I'm like, these look fucking really real. And then you can pick which porn star you want it to replicate and stuff. And I'm just like, whoa, we are complex. Oh, then I saw a dragon dildo. That was pretty. I was like, do people buy this? She's like, yeah. And I was like, holy fuck, this thing was like 3 feet long, and you could slap it to a wall and it would stick to it. It had like the suction things on there. And I'm just like, holy shit, times have changed. It was fun though. It was kind of a fun little date spot. Um, yeah, it was weird. I just didn't realize how kinky people got and how evolved sex toys got. But yeah, it was fun.
Do you buy anything?
Um, yeah, she got a couple items. Um, I'm trying to think the funnest thing I got. I think it was like a little whip or something, like, little like with tassels on it or something. Um, the downside with it is it's like I just started walking around the house just like non-sexual at all. Hitting the counter, no. So like they're multi-use, but I probably not. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you spent X amount, you got a free gift, and I was like, "What's the free gift?" You have to go to like a vending machine, and like there are these different colored ducks, and like whatever colored duck you
Ducks?
get, it was like a little vending machine with ducks, like little rubber duckies, and there were 4 colors, and whichever one you get, if you spend X, you get one try at the machine. If you spend two, you get two, and I love games, so I'm like, let me get a couple ducks, and yeah, each one was harder to get, but like this stuff there was yeah, it was interesting free gifts. I'm trying to think what the fuck we got, to be honest with you. I don't know. It might have been like a crazy vibrating 6-headed dildo or some shit. Who the fuck knows? I can't even think of what it was, but it was extravagant. It was dusty. You could tell it was a old model. But it was just such a fun experience. I mean, I don't know if I would do that, after a quick date. But like somebody, if you're on like date 4 or 5, that could be a really fun thing to just
Yes.
go have a drink. Make it a day thing of like, cool, we're getting brunch, have some mimosas, have a couple drinks, we're going to the sex shop just to explore. And I remember I really had to pee, and I was like, "Do y'all have a bathroom here?" They're like, "We do. People can't use it though." And I'm like, "Why?" And I was like, "Oh, people probably would do weird shit if I'm in a
Yeah.
sex shop bathroom." I'm like, "That makes sense." But yeah. No. How do we? Oh, the nipple clamps. Okay. Fucking nipple clamps.
I have another story for you.
Yeah.
You know what a leather bar is?
Mm-mm.
It's basically just like some place where you can. I think it's more in the gay culture than straight, but you wear leather when you go to it. So probably like 10 years ago, I'd got this harness,
Yeah.
and so I moved to Austin, and someone told me about it, and so I followed their Instagram page, and it's like a Friday night, and they made a post, and it's all these dudes in the picture. There's like 6 dudes, and they're all between like 25 and 40, and they're all just wearing like harnesses and jock straps, and they're like, "We're doing our fucking locker room night," and I was like, "Oh, this sounds great." Bunch of half naked dudes, middle aged, and we're all like showing off our pecs and stuff. Like, fuck yeah, I'm going. So I wore a pair of jeans, my boots, my harness, and that's it. And so as I'm walking, I park, and as I'm walking up to the door, I notice the people ahead of me were paying a cover. So as I get up to the door guy, I take out my wallet, and he looks at me and he goes, "Oh, no, you get in for free." And I was like, "Oh shit, I'm the hot girl tonight. I've never had this experience before." He gets up from his chair and opens the door for me, which he didn't do for the prior couple, and he yells at the bartender. He's like, "Hey, first 2 drinks for this guy are on us." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, dude. This is going to be a good night."
Yeah.
I walk in. Have you ever been in a retirement home?
Mm-mm.
There is a very specific smell to buildings that contain mostly old people.
Oh.
And I immediately, as I walk through the door, I'm like, "Oh, ew, that's interesting." And as I walk in, I go up to the bar, I order a Modelo, and as I'm looking around, everyone in the room, everyone is like 60 plus years old. So I grab my drink. They had a little patio area. I go out there thinking, like, where are these 25 to 40-year-olds that were in the picture? Maybe they're in the backyard. I go back there, all old people. all these old men, 60 plus years old, all fat. I was like, no wonder I got in for free. I'm the only guy that works out. I'm not even like in phenomenal shape, but better shape than all of these decrepit people. And as I'm just like registering if I'm even going to stay or not, this guy comes up to me and starts crying about his late husband that I found out died 10 years ago. And he's still crying. I wanted to tell him if he let me get a word in edgewise, which he didn't. Like, dude, get over it. Like, your husband would want you to live your fucking life. It's been a decade. Like, move on. So finally, this other dude comes over and he's like, I'm so sorry. Let me get this guy out of your hair. He's like, Frank, come on. This guy doesn't want to hear about Joe. Like, come over this way. And I'm like, I'm out of here while I got the chance. So I go to my car and I sit in the driver's seat. I left the door open. I was doing the thing where I had like 1 foot in the car and 1 foot out on the pavement. I was Googling other gay bars to go to because it's new in Austin. It's like my first week here. It's like, let's go fucking explore. I don't have a shirt, but I have this harness on. Maybe they'll let me in. Maybe they won't. And as I'm like Googling other gay bars, I feel tugging on my belt. And I look down outside my car and there's this old Mexican dude on his knees. And I fucking slap his hands away and I go, what are you doing? And he goes, ooh. And I said, no, get the fuck out of here. And he pulls on my belt again. And I slap his hands away. And I was like, go away, fuck off. And he makes like a puppy dog look. He goes, and he goes, ooh.
Oh my fucking god.
And I said, no, go away.
Was he old too?
Yeah. And so I ended up going home. That guy was sort of a vibe killer. I am down for a blowjob, just not from a stranger in a parking lot who's 79 years old. And so I call my buddy Tom and I'm telling him this story. And he's like, you know what's funny is like, you're telling me this story. He's like, this is what's shocking about gay culture is you're telling me this story because you're trying to get me to laugh. Like you're almost spinning it to like get a reaction out of me. He's like, if you were a woman and this exact same night happened to you, the police would have been called. She would be traumatized. That was a fucking sexual assault. Like, but with you, you're just like, whatever. You're just like, like you're just retelling the story.
Oh my god.
Anyways.
You're the belle of the ball.
Yeah.
I have a good story with this too.
Yes.
I went to, it was like a drag club or something. This had to have been like 7 or 8 years ago. But it was like me and a couple buddies, and then we had our girls too. And I don't know, it was something downtown. It was like a 2-story thing. And like I don't know what it was called, but I think it was a gay club. But it was like drag night. And I got talked into it. And that was the first time where I felt like I was the belle of the ball. Like, I'm like, man, these guys are so nice. Like, I remember going to the bathroom and one of the guys was like, man, you're so handsome. I'm like, thanks, man. And then like halfway through the night, I'm like, damn, these guys have been hitting on me fucking hard. Like, it was such an experience. Cause I was like pretty drunk at that point, so I'm just at the top, just like somebody comes out in a wild outfit, I'm like throwing just wads of ones, I'm like, yeah, do a flip or some shit, like sounding probably super straight and and whatnot, and yeah, it was funny as fuck. Like some of my friends were like, I think this guy groped me in there, and I'm just like, I didn't have that happen. Luckily, it was just a lot of compliments, and I'm like, what a nice establishment. But yeah, no, is there a big gay community in Austin?
Yeah, but it's all
Senior citizens?
my take on the 3 years here. It's all couples that have moved here.
Oh.
So like if you jump on Grindr, not you, if I jump on Grindr, you probably like most dating apps or hookup apps, whatever they are, you can put like, are you single, married, in a relationship? The crazy thing about getting on Grindr in Austin is everyone is in a relationship looking for a third, and that's not my thing.
Makes sense. I thought that Grindr was like meant for like hustling and grinding, like work stuff. Just kidding. One of our doctors for the for the ED.
Like, I got on there to find some new clients.
Yeah.
Just a lot of ass pics.
Really receptive. Not a lot of business though. One of our doctors for the ED company, great guy. He's gay. And he's like huge on Instagram. But like he comes to town and he'll bring his boyfriend, and they like live in Miami and stuff. And they're the funnest to be around. I'm like, you want to go to Topgolf? And they're like, we're not athletic at all. And they're fucking shredded too. Like they're ripped. All their like, Instagram things are like them in speedos doing wild shit. But they're like, it's so comfortable being around, kind of straight guys sometimes. Because I guess like with what they're used to is just, I guess, really like maybe feminine gay guys or whatnot, or they're just not used to the scene. But they're so fucking fun. And he was like, I'm actually like starting, like a swimwear brand. He's like, I'd love to get you some. And I'm like, yeah, totally. I thought nothing of it. It's like a fucking G-string thing, and I'm like, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say you weren't wearing that at that boat party we went to together.
Oh my god.
You were dressed very, very normal, very straight, I guess I could say.
God, that boat party was so shitty. I remember I got so drunk, and then we found the snorkel with the guy scuba diving, and I was just so bored. I'm like, fuck, man, I dropped my Rolex off the back of the boat, dude. If you find it, I'll give you like $1,000. And this guy was like, yeah. And afterwards, I felt so bad because I don't wear watches for one. I just thought it was gonna be a really funny thing. And this guy's like, man, I can't find it anywhere. I'm like, it's down there, I promise. And yeah, that boat party sucked. I'm gonna do another one for sure. I'm gonna actually host, but yeah. And whenever this house is ready with the pool, I'll let you know. It'll be it'll be wild.
I'd love to come over.
Yeah,
I'm in a much better headspace. That boat party sort of sucked for me too, because when was that?
I don't know, but our buddy wanted to host it, and he just didn't know how to invite people or set things up, and he was trying to charge girls and stuff. Like, he's like, no, I'll handle it all. We're like, all right, man. I don't know, but that was probably like the worst boat party I've ever been on.
Well, there is two things for me. One was, I think that was around the time, like right when my mom had told me my dad was going to call me. So I was in a very weird headspace. And when you're going to a party full of people where you don't know anyone but the host, that's all, depending on your personality, that can be rough. The thing that I thought sucked about it was that we had a barbecue and there was no food.
Yeah.
The invite you forwarded to me implied that there is going to be like a feast there. And so I was starving and I was ready to have some burgers, some fucking chicken, a steak, some potato salad. Like I was ready to grub down. And we showed up and there was like one charcuterie board for 50 people. And I was like, what are we going to do with this thing?
Oh, dude, 50 people's generous. I feel like there were like
there's like 25.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck. Even the guy, because like he's one of our buddies. He's like, yeah, I got the shit dialed in. It's gonna be so dope. And I'm like, all right, we'll let him do it. Yeah, that was not. Yeah, that's never happening again. So unfortunately, definitely party barge again. But yeah, that'll be. The next one will be more extravagant. Magicians,
kangaroos. You gonna be in that G-string thong thing that the dude sent you?
Might.
All right.
I might. We'll find out.
I'll wear my harness.
Oh, dude. That's what I was going to mention. When you're, like, telling us, all I could think about was that dodgeball scene where they fuck up the costumes and they come out and, like, I was just like, dude, that's fucking gold, actually. Yeah. I have a funny story to tell you offline, but...
Well, let's end it while it's still on top of mind for you, because I want to hear this story.
Yeah. All right.
Dylan Carpenter, this is there. To your point about being someone who loves podcasting, there is no other way I would have spent my Sunday morning. This is so much. This was so much fun. We again talked about business for all 5 minutes, and that's fine. I've loved where this talk went. To the audience, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if this or any other episode does hit you in any specific way, whether you laughed at it, cried at it, whatever your reaction was, seriously, email me. sitbackwithdavid@gmail.com. In the meantime, my commitment to you will be to keep finding awesome guests like Dylan to come on the show and tell their story. If I do that for you, my only ask is that you subscribe if you were watching on YouTube today, follow if you were listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any of the other apps. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay happy, have a great Saturday night, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.